Chapter 3759. The first is more. In the void, Jian Wushuang and the Lord of the Heavens and the Temple of Time and Space talked at will. The Lord of the Heavens and the Lord of Time and Space are praising Jian Wushuang's amazing powers that day. Jian Wushuang himself also knows that the gift of supernatural powers given by the laws of the universe is really terrible. After the original universe is cast, his power can be skyrocketed to the top master level in a short period of time, plus the black light phantom. Under normal circumstances he can easily kill higher masters. It is precisely because of the existence of this trick that he dared to say that Luqing is sure to kill the pupil. Master Hong is here. Jian Wushuang suddenly looked up. The Lord of the Heavens and the Lord of Time and Space also looked into the void not far away, where a figure came galloping and blinked in front of them. Hong dominated this way, very hurried. He is a person who has one say one and two say two. In this star field his character is also well known. Although Mr. Hitomi did a lot of things in this star field, he couldn't get used to it and he had no friendship with him. However, he once owed Hitomi a favor, which is a fact. That personal relationship was in a dangerous place in Quicksand Demon, one of the 3 battlefields. The two of them also met halfway and both were involved in a great crisis. In that crisis Hong Zong was almost alone. Dead. It was the help of that pupil that enabled him to get away. This human feeling Master Zhu Hong has always remembered. Therefore, when he was on the 3rd continent and learned that Hitomi had been besieged by the 3 men, Sword Unparalleled, Beheader of Heaven and Master of Time and Space, and he was in crisis, he immediately arrived at the fastest speed. The purpose is of course to save Hitomi and return the other person's affection. But when he came to this void, in front of his eyes were only 3 swordsmen. The Lord of the Heavens and the Temple of Time and Space, and the Lord of the Sword Rule should be the Lord of the Blood Sword. All 3 of them are here, but what about the pupil? Master Zong narrowed his eyes and stared at the person in front of him. The 3 had a bad feeling in their hearts. Zhong Hong, are you here for that pupil? Jian Wushuang also looked at him and smiled at the corner of his mouth. Unfortunately, you are late just now and pupil Zhu has been taken by me. People beheaded. Beheaded? Master Zhuo was taken aback and even said, did Hitomi be killed by you? Why, do you believe in Master Zong? Jian Wushuang smiled but then turned over and took out something. The thing in my hand is left by Master Tong. Master Zong should know it. The sword Wushuang took out was the most powerful attacking treasure of the pupil, that is, the red stick. Seeing this red stick, Dominion's eyes narrowed sharply, and there was no doubt at the bottom of his heart. Even the strongest treasure soldiers he used fell into the sword without hands, and the pupil was naturally dead. As soon as I got the news that Mr. Hitomi was besieged by the 3 of you, I rushed over here as quickly as possible. I thought that the power and means of Mr. Hitomi could be held in your hands for a longer period of time, etc. I arrived but did not expect that I would be late at last. Master Zhu Hong sighed. He was also quite surprised. Hitomi's strength and means he knows more or less, even the pupil's strongest whole card he has also seen it played once. He knew that even if he wanted to be beheaded, even the top master might not be able to do it. But with the 3 men in front of him, Hitomi was beheaded and killed, which of course surprised him. Master Hong, I heard that you once owed Hitomi the favor, this time purposely came over to save that Hitomi, but now that Hitomi is dead in our hands, you want to shoot in order to pay back that favor. Revenge for him? Jian Wushuang said suddenly. Revenge? Master Zhang shook his head, but his expression was extremely cold. I owed Master Tong that this is true, but it doesn't mean that I have a deep friendship with him. This time I knew he was in danger, immediately rushed over, although he could not be rescued in time, but it was already considered humane, and his kindness had been returned. As for whose hands he died, it has nothing to do with me, and naturally I can't avenge him. Hong's words are absolutely convincing. He did his best to rush to the rescue as fast as he could, but he couldn't blame him if he failed to catch up. As for revenge for Hitomi, it must be impossible. Since the dust has been set, I will stay more 3 and leave. The 3 masters, Zhao Jianshou, arched their hands and then turned and left. This Hong is dominated, it's direct enough. Jian Wushuang laughed at this. Oh, although this Master Hong owes his host Tong, but his host is there, many masters in this starfield look down on him, thinking that he has lost his control regardless of his identity. Our faces, this Lord Hong is probably no exception. The Lord of Space and Time laughed. He came to save the pupil just because of the human relationship, but in the bottom of his heart, I'm afraid he doesn't look down on that pupil. I guess so. Jian Wushuang glanced at the Lord of the Cut Heaven Alliance and smiled. Well, Master Hitomi is dead, our goal has been achieved, leave here first. Jian Wushuang do. Immediately, the three of them immediately withdrew the suppression of the surrounding void and the blockade of time and space and left. In the Red Cloud realm, when Jinshuang Sword, Lord of the Heavens and Lord of Time and Space joined forces to encircle the pupil, the movement caused was not small, and many masters of rules had long been watching. Although the main rule of these rules is far away from the battlefield due to the relationship between the Jiuqian formation of Jiulong and Jilin, it is impossible to record the scene of the war in a mirror image, but they were able to sense the end of the battle. In this battle, Hitomi was killed. The news also spread throughout the Red Cloud realm and even the entire star field. The Red Cloud realm, as well as countless strong people in this star field, shook after receiving this news. What? Hitomi is dead? How is that possible? Hitomi is not only a very powerful elementary master, but he also has the strongest treasure of armor. Even if the top master takes the shot himself, he may not be able to kill him? Who said no? But this pupil did not die in the hands of the top master, but died in the hands of the Lord of the Blood Sword, the Lord of the Cut Heaven Alliance and the Lord of Time and Space. It is said that the three masters of the Blood Sword laid a trap in advance, suppressing the void, and at the same time completely imprisoned the time and space, so that the pupil did not have any chance to escape, and then the three joined forces after a fierce battle for more than half an hour. Beheaded. 3 Heads M. Chapter 3760. Second more. With the spread of Hitomi's death, it caused a big sensation in the entire star field. However, because the world was repressed in that battle, time and space were completely imprisoned so that the rulers of the surroundings could only watch from far away. Too far away, don't record the mirror image, even if it is the specific battle scene of that battle, no one knows, so everyone can only rely on their own guesses, how the pupil is killed by the three swordsmen. But what is certain is that after this battle, the awareness of Jian Wushuang by many powerful people in this star field has risen to a new level. It's normal. The strength of the Lord of the Sky and the Palace of Time and Space is not too strong. The two of them must not be able to kill the pupil. The sword Wushuang had previously suppressed the Dominator and the pupil together, and the strength was at a higher level. Among them are the top batches. It can be imagined that, among the three people who besieged the pupil this time, Jian Wushuang must be the absolute main force. What method and means he used to kill the pupil, this is a mystery. The figure of Jian Wushuang's three men has come to a halt from the void of the battlefield that engulfed Hitomi before. Jian Wushuang fell on the ground. The pupil Tong has spent many years in the three major battlefields. He has repeatedly disregarded his identity and disregarded his face to deal with the rule master. He has seized the treasure and opportunity. After so many years of accumulation, his net worth must be extraordinary. He must have many treasures. Jianho, shall you check it out quickly? Jian Wushuang nodded and even took out the things left by the pupil. Needless to say that the red long stick and the main body of the pupil's table are the most precious. The long stick sword Wushuang didn't need it at all, just glanced into his own ring of war. And the strongest treasure battle armor, that is the real purpose of the three of them besieging the pupil. Now that the pupil is dead, the treasure battle armor fell into the sword without hands. His body protection ability is extremely powerful. If there is another strongest armor of the treasure, it will be even better. The strongest level of treasure is not easy to refine. The strongest treasure is a battle armor. If I want to refine, it may take some time. Jian Wushuang integrated his consciousness into the strongest treasure of battle. Have roughly understood the requirements to refine this strongest treasure battle. These requirements are not difficult for him, but it will take some time. Don't worry, first look at the good things in the pupil's Chengkuan ring. With a hint of expectation in his heart, Jian Wushuang immediately began to look up the pupil's Chengkuan ring. This pupil is indeed worthy of having been in this star field for so long, and has no regard for the face of the master. He has a large number of treasures in his ring, and there are actually hundreds of them. My God, there are hundreds of treasures in the universe. This pupil is really rich. The Lord of the Heavens could not help but sigh. Although these hundreds of treasures are cosmic treasures, the levels are not too high-end. There are only 3 pieces of peak treasures and only a dozen pieces of top treasures. The others are only elementary and advanced grade treasures. Most of these precious treasures are not needed by him, and he has no sectarian power. Even his disciples do and seem to have them. Where are so many precious treasures, what can he do? Jian Wushuang looked strange. The strength reaches the level of domination, especially those who are very powerful. If they are the masters of a sectarian power, there are many disciples who need to be cultivated. What is the use? Not to mention that many times the pupil is disregarding his face, and his identity is reduced to deal with some rules to obtain. Some treasures that you do and need at all, can you get them so disregarding your face? Maybe the pupil wants to collect more treasures, and then go to the Jyoti Pavilion to exchange for higher-level treasures? Said the Master of Time and Space. It's possible. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. Tianhou Xiaoyu, look at the pupil's Chengquan ring. In addition to these treasures, what else? There are a lot of things, there are all kinds of geniuses and treasures, and there are some secrets, and there seem to be several in this Jiangquan ring. Jian Wushuang said, and at the same time, those geniuses and treasures that can draw their attention, or all mysteries were taken out one by one. Those geniuses and treasures, although some of them are rare and precious, have not attracted the attention of the three swordsmen. On the contrary, those mysteries, one or two of them are not bad. Like the life-saving mysteries previously performed by Hitomi, the mysteries that can increase his power in an instant are contained in this precept, which is recorded in 1. Above the order. These mysteries are pretty good, leaving them to the Xingong Palace or staying in the early divine realm is a good choice. Jian Wushuang smiled and followed him, suddenly frowning again. Strange, I beheaded the demon, the three masters of Yunxing. Reasonably, the three masters come from the magical cloud star. The secrets in their hands should be more talented, but within the ring of the three of them, there is even one that I can see. No secret technique. Haha, this one is easy to understand. Although the masters of the three demon stars have a larger origin than the pupils, most of the mysteries they cultivate are originally on the devil stars. It is not surprising that they got the mystery. The method is based on self-revelation and stays directly in the mind of the person. The mysteries stored in the amulets like Master Tong's body are estimated to be obtained in those dangerous places in the three major battlefields. Many of the dangerous places in the three major battlefields have huge origins, but they have only passed on the inheritance, and there are no restrictions on these mysteries for a long time. The Master of Space and Time laughed. That's it. Jian Wushuang knew it, followed him and said, there is another strange place. In the Master's Heaven and Earth ring, there are countless strange geniuses, treasures and mysteries. But why there is no such special spar? Special spar. The Lord of the Cut Heaven Alliance and the Lord of the Space and Time Palace both moved. Isn't there a special spar in that ring? The Lord of the Heavens bewildered. No. Jian Wushuang shook his head. Even if it is an ordinary ruler, there may be some special crystals in his or her ring, but the quality level is different, and this pupil, first, it doesn't matter how long he has been in the three major battlefields, he has been in the Red Cloud world for 5,000 years. In these 5,000 years, there are also many rule masters that he has slain. Those rule masters have obtained the Heaven and Earth rings. Is there a special spar in the Heaven and Earth rings of those rule masters? No. Emperor Jiutian. Chapter 3761. The first is more. Mr. Hitomi has been in this Red Cloud world for 5,000 years. The ruler of his beheading is at least 10 digits, right? How could the master of the 10-digit rule not have a special spar? Those special crystals with extremely high levels are extremely rare, but there must be some special crystals with more ordinary levels? Tianhou Xiaoyu, please quickly see if there are any special treasures in Master's Chengquan ring. Sword Wushuang nodded and immediately began to search for a treasure. Blink, half a day passed. During this half-day, Jian Wushuang carefully searched all the treasures in the pupil's Chengquan ring, and after searching, only one treasure was completely unclear to Jian Wushuang. This treasure is the whole gourd. It is also called the baby gourd in Hitomi's main mouth. This calabash is the treasure that Tong Tong took out before? Both the Celestial Alliance Master and the Master of Time and Space looked at it. I carefully counted all the treasures left by the pupil. I almost know the usefulness of those treasures, but this scarlet gourd makes me invisible. Jian Wushuangdo. The Lord of the Celestial Sect and the Lord of Time and Space also stared closely at the scarlet gourd in Jian's hands. This blood-colored gourd, but on the surface, it seems that there is nothing strange except for a little bit of crystal. It is very ordinary. Even though the consciousness of the two was covered by this scarlet gourd, they did not get any information. But the more so, the more they felt that this gourd was extraordinary. Jian Tianhou, please try to recognize this gourd as soon as possible, said the leader of the Heavenly Alliance. This blood-colored gourd is so extraordinary, I'm afraid it's not so easy to recognize it. Jian Wushuang said, but still tried to recognize this gourd. As a result of this attempt, he succeeded in directly confessing the scarlet gourd. So easy? Jian Wushuang was a little stunned. Under normal circumstances, the more powerful the treasures against the sky, the more difficult it is to refine and recognize the Lord. Like those strongest treasures, the threshold for refining the Lord is extremely high. And this blood-colored gourd may not be as valuable as the strongest arcana, But from the perspective of the pupil before summoning the flame from this gourd, this blood-colored gourd should also be very talented. Unexpectedly, the refining of this scarlet gourd would be so simple. In just an instant, the direct refining was successful. But Jian Wushuang was surprised that although he had already acknowledged the scarlet gourd, he still did not get the specific information of the scarlet gourd, but only felt an unprecedented heat and madness from the scarlet gourd. Buzzing, the scarlet gourd trembled wildly. What's going on? Zhuang Tianmeng frowned. Heavenly friend, what's wrong with this gourd? The Lord of Time and Space also looked over. I don't know what's going on, but I feel that this gourd is very excited and very eager at the moment, and this craving comes from me as if there is something in me. It is enough for him crazy. Jian Wushuangdo. What's on your body that makes this gourd crazy? The Master of Time and Space raised his eyebrows. What? I don't know. Jian Wushuang shook his head and followed him to turn his hands and take out something from his ring. He took out some geniuses, elixir including the precious soldiers, but the scarlet gourd was unmoved. Until Jian Wushuang took out a purple spar, this blood-colored gourd immediately leaned over very spiritually. Spar? Is it spar? Jian Wushuang looked, and after a moment of groaning, he opened the plug of the gourd, put the purple spar into the mouth of the gourd, and instantly the devouring force burst from the gourd and swallowed the purple spar directly into it. After swallowing the purple spar, the gourd trembled again, apparently he still wanted it. Seeing this scene, the looks of the three swordsmen Wushuang became strange. I now finally understand why there is not even a special spar in the Chengkuan ring left by the pupil. It turned out that those spar were honoring this baby gourd. Jian Wushuang eccentrically said. A gourd but likes to swallow the spar? The Celestial Alliance Master was also very surprised. Tianho Xiaoyu, do you still have a lot of spar in your hand? Try to feed it. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate and turned over a handful of spar. In terms of killing, he has more rulers than Hitomi in the Red Cloud realm. In addition, he has killed a lot of strong men before. Those strong men have various special crystals in their hands. These special crystal swords are unique. He has been staying in his own ring for a long time. There are many, whether it is high level or low level, he just took out some casually. In his opinion, he had enough of these spar, which should be enough for this gourd to eat, but in fact the appetite of this gourd was scary. These are densely packed together like a special spar, like a hill, but a moment of effort was swallowed up by the blood-colored gourd, and it is clear that this blood-colored gourd is still not satisfied. Even its tremor became more and more crazy, and Jian Wushuang could always sense the unprecedented desire from this scarlet gourd. That longing didn't come from the spar he took out, but from within his ring. What's in my ring? What makes this scarlet gourd so eager, so crazy? Jian Wushuang frowned. He also browsed his Chengkuan ring carefully. Although there are many spar, these spar are not the source that makes the blood-colored gourd so crazy. But at this moment, Jian Wushuang's eyes inadvertently glanced at a corner of Qiankanji, where an old and strangely shaped knife plate was lying there quietly. Seeing this knife plate, Jian Wu's eyes and pupils shrank sharply. This knife plate, he remembered it well. It was the first time that he had traveled to the depths of the magic smoke valley. When he passed the Arai Lake, he encountered a tidal wave, and this knife was born from that tidal wave and fell into his own hands. But when he first got the knife plate, the temperature of the knife plate was high and scary. He just grabbed the knife plate for a short time and then put it into the ring. His divine power was directly evaporated by 5 points. 1. And after the knife plate was included in his ring, all the treasures in his ring, except for some very high levels, were all evaporated by the temperature emanating from the knife plate. Emperor Jiutian. Chapter 3762? Second more. Who is that person? He's side by side with Lord Baidi? His name is Jian Wushuang. He is said to be a figure 10 million years ago, and his strength does not seem to be weaker than that of Lord Baidi. Isn't his strength weaker than Lord Baidi? What a joke! Lord Baidi has been a transcendent figure from the first era to the present. The entire chaotic world of eternity, except those ancient strong men who have been asleep, will anyone be by? Lord's opponent? I don't know, but since this sword Wushuang can be tied with Lord Baidi, it shows that he must have some strength. These rumors and whispers echoed in the hall. Baidi looked around, many of whom heard the conversation in his ears and couldn't help but smile. Sword unparalleled, you have disappeared for tens of millions of years, and this tens of millions of years happened to be the strongest outbreak in the chaotic world of ancient times. For the most part, there are many emerging powerhouses who have no idea about you. It's okay. I want to stay in the chaotic world of eternity for this time. It doesn't matter if these little guys know me or not. Jian Wushuang was calm, but, "Bai Di, let them be quiet, I say something." Originally Jian Wushuang only needed to show some divine power, and the practitioners who were easily oppressed were trembling, but Jian Wushuang felt it was unnecessary, and it was better for Bai Di to speak. "Stop, everyone." Sure enough, as soon as Bai Di spoke, these discussions stopped immediately. The eyes of hundreds of strong men present all looked at Bai Di and Jian Wushuang. "Jian Wushuang, say it." Bai Di looked at Jian Wushuang. Some of you have a certain understanding of me, but many of you don't know who I am yet, but it's okay. I'm back this time just to explain something, and I will leave after the explanation. Jian Wushuang paused and continued, "I have to explain your affairs to the entire chaotic world of eternity. It is well known that the ancient chaotic world has experienced 3 eras, including the ancient era, the first era, and the second era of the present. Among them, the ancient era is the most brilliant. Even now, the ancient chaos world exists. Many of the sleepy ancient time strongmen, those ancient time strong men, have amazing strength, far exceeding the level of the emperor, as you all know. But why did the ancient times have such a great strength? In fact, it is very simple. That's because the ancient times practitioners are all people from another world, and that world is a vaster world than the chaotic world of eternity. The vast world, so strong like a cloud, is far from being comparable to the eternal chaotic world. Like the great emperor, practitioners who are now recognized as the strongest in the chaotic world of ancient times, in that world, it is called chaos, and chaos is just a trivial person in that world, not even an ant. However, on top of the chaos, there are also the realm of gods, deities and saints. Reach the sage in some of the barren parts of that world, it is barely a strong one, but if it is in the heart of that world, it's still just an ant. Jian Wushuang said a lot in one breath. And listening to what he said, most of the hundreds of practitioners present were embarrassed, and many of them were incredible. "Mr. Jian Wushuang, what you just said is true. Beyond the chaotic world of ancient times, is there a wider world? You have disappeared for tens of millions of years. Could it be that you have gone to that wider world? The great emperor is an ant? Even sages far beyond the level of the emperor in some core places are just ants. How is this possible? Jian Wushuang, are you kidding me?" What Jian Wushuang said was really shocking to the practitioners of the chaotic world of ancient times. And because it was so shocking, it caused a lot of doubts. Some of them even directly refuted, even with a bit of bad speech. The sword didn't sink in color. Shut up. With a low drink, the space and time of this hall instantly fell into stasis. Many of the great emperors on that throne, except for those who had a relationship with Jian Wushuang and had a certain relationship, others immediately found that their bodies could not move at all, and their mouths could not be opened again. There is no way to say a word. They could only widen their eyes, terrified. "It's really noisy." The sword was indifferent. The chaotic world of eternity is his hometown. He does have a lot of affection for it, and he is closer to the practitioners here, but it does not mean that these practitioners can question him or even provoke him. After all, he is a dominated class. Strong. If it is in the early world of the gods, let alone the chaos, even if it is as strong as the ruler, dare to challenge the majesty of the master, it will be dead. Listen, I do have time, and I do need to answer your questions. I am willing to tell you these things now, all just because you were born in the chaotic world of all ages. You just listen to it honestly. As for the letter, don't believe it, it's up to you. Jian Wushuang waved his hand, and the stagnant space and time of the whole hall suddenly flowed again. Only those practitioners caught in the stasis of time and space can move again. But even after the operation was resumed, these practitioners were still terrified. They didn't know what method Jian Jianshou had just used, but at that moment they were completely incapable of moving and could only be slaughtered by others, but they were horrified from their heart. With this hand, Jian Wushuang has proved for his terrifying strength. This strength is definitely far beyond Bai Di. Suddenly these practitioners questioned the sword unparalleled, and immediately disappeared. All that remained was fear and awe. And what Jian Wushuang said now, they listened honestly and dare not refute in the slightest. I just mentioned that there is a wider world besides the ancient chaotic world. Actually, this is not all the case because the ancient chaotic world and that world are originally one, but there are some special reasons that cause the ancient chaotic world to be destroyed. Completely isolated. Jian Wushuang is about to tell the history of the ancient and chaotic world, the relationship with the early world, and the location of the resealed circle. After listening to Jian Wushuang, hundreds of practitioners present, even Bai Di sitting next to Jian Wushuang, showed shocking colors. Chapter 3763. Sees the house. The soul body enters the body of another person, forcibly destroys the other person's soul, and completely takes the other Bodhi's body as its own. This is the housework. No matter in this star field or in the entire universe, looting a house is an extremely vicious method. Jian Wushuang did not expect that the soul in this blood-colored gourd would immediately rob him as soon as he awakened. Although he reacted for the first time and wanted to stop, it was too late. The soul body had already entered his body, and a horrible soul force had swept over his soul. Exterminate. A low and evil voice suddenly sounded in Jian Wushuang's heart. That soul power is really too powerful, far more powerful than Jian Wushuang's own soul. Although Jian Wushuang has the soul protection of the treasure, and his own soul is not too much, but in this soul power under the attack, his soul began to collapse almost instantly. There is no room for struggle. Only in a momentary effort, the soul of Jian Wushuang was directly annihilated. Haha, the ruler of the rules, it's too easy for this seat to win. After the soul body annihilated Jian Wushuang's soul, he smiled disdainfully and was ready to completely control Jian Wushuang's body. But just then, a large amount of soul power gathered frantically, and in a blink of an eye, Jian Wushuang's intact soul appeared again in front of this soul body. What? The soul body was taken aback. How is that possible? This place has completely annihilated your soul? Just now, he completely annihilated Jian Wushuang's soul, and he could not sense that Jian Wushuang had a little bit of soul breath. But in the blink of an eye, the sword soul is intact? What's happening here? Is it? This soul body has a long history and knowledge of nature is very high. After seeing the situation in front of him, he immediately thought of a possibility. Perfect life? It is the perfect life in the legend. Only the practitioner with the perfect level of life, the soul power, can be incorporated into every divine power. Even if the soul is completely annihilated, as long as there is sufficient divine power, it can be repaired instantly. The ruler of this rule is the perfect life level practitioner. This soul body was so horrified that it never looked like the ridiculous laughter it had before. And the soul that reunited in front of him, Jian Wushuang, looked at this soul body coldly. Who's not good at taking down your house, even taking me down? Court death. Jian Wushuang slammed, and instantly a large number of souls slammed back at the soul body. Not good. The spirit body suddenly panicked. On the strength of soul, he is much stronger than Jian Wushuang, which is totally two different levels. The frontal collision on the soul, he can easily crush and even annihilate the soul of Jian Wushuang, but Jian Wushuang is the perfect life. Even if the soul is annihilated, he can immediately recover. The soul body has no way to take the sword. But Jian Wushuang can do nothing about him. Here is the sword of Wushan's body, completely controlled by Jian Wushuang. Before, Jian Wushuang didn't watch out. Only then did this soul body enter the inside of his god's body so easily. He wanted to leave the sword Wushuang deity and return to the gourd, but it is not that simple. I saw a lot of soul power madly hitting this soul body. Although each impact was smashed by the soul body, and the sword soulless body was annihilated one after another by the soul body, but even if the moth flutters the fire, if the moth is innumerable, it will flutter again and again. Come here, no matter how strong the fire is, it must go out. This soul manifests itself in this way. The soul of Jian Wushuang has countless incisive impacts. Each impact causes this soul body to lose a lot of soul power. Several times, dozens of times, the soul power of this soul body is obviously weakened. But the soul of Jian Wushuang is still reorganizing again and again, and hits him crazy again and again. A mere body of soul wants to take me away? Still wants to control my body? Really dreaming. Jian Wushuang's voice was cold. Now I'll see how you die. Jian Wushuang was furious. He thought that the blood-colored gourd was a very valuable treasure, so he hesitated to give the knife to the blood-colored gourd to devour, but did not expect that the blood-wool gourd swallowed the knife, and the soul that was awakened was the first take his house. This is like a farmer rescues a snake but is bitten by a snake. If he wasn't the perfect life, he is now 80% dead, and his body will be controlled by this soul body. How can this not make him angry? Therefore, Jian Wushuang will be so desperate for the crazy impact. The purpose is to kill this soul body here. This isn't my god. You are hindered by me. You see, and go back to that scarlet gourd at all. The next thing you face is my crazy shocks, which constantly weaken your soul power until your soul strength is completely exhausted. Jian Wushuang's voice was cold. I don't care who you are, but since you have the courage to enter my body, then you stay here completely. The sound of Jian Wushuang sounded in his body. He was still pounding at the soul body again and again. No. The soul body was already terrified at this moment. The practitioners of the perfect level don't necessarily have a few in the vast universe. Why is this seat so unlucky that he encountered a practitioner of perfect life level here, and this seat should even take his house? This soul body is indeed enough to back up. He slept endlessly in that scarlet gourd and finally managed to wait for the opportunity to wake up, but it was too late to be happy, but he immediately took it to a practitioner of perfect life level. The house of a practitioner who has seized the perfect level of life? That was a joke. A practitioner of perfect life level is invincible in terms of soul. This brother, this little friend, no, this adult, this seat has also been asleep for too long, and it is not easy to wake up, and it will be offensive if you are too excited. Raise your expensive hand. The soul body eagerly said. He has begged. No choice but to beg for mercy. Obstructed by Jianghu Shuang, his soul body could not return to the scarlet gourd at all, nor could he leave Jianghu Shuang's body. And continue to stay here. There is only one end, and that is to be killed by Jianghu Shuang. He finally waited for the opportunity to wake up, but didn't want to be killed when he woke up. Chapter 3764. Now I know I'm begging for mercy? Jianghu Shuang sneered. It's just offended to say something when you're excited. Is it just offense? If I weren't the perfect life cultivator, I'm afraid I would have died. Want me give up your life and honestly surrender your soul, otherwise you will die. Soul origin? The soul was startled. The origin of the soul is the core material of the soul, which can control its life and death. Except for the perfect life like Jianghu Shuang, anyone will take the soul as the most important thing. Want the soul to take the initiative? It is tantamount to giving one's life and death completely to the other party's control, so many people would rather die than surrender their soul origin. But now, okay, I hand over the soul. The soul body only hesitated for a moment and then agreed. Agree so soon? Jianghu Shuang was slightly surprised. He can be sure that this soul body must have been an extremely powerful man, and may even be a supreme. Does such a superpower really give the soul to himself? Jianghu Shuang immediately had some doubts. But the soul body was very decisive, forcing his soul source directly out of the soul body, and sent it to the front of the sword without two sides. This breath is indeed the source of the soul, and it was forced out of this soul. It should be his source of the soul, yes. Jianghu Shuang frowned slightly, but still controlled the source of the soul for the first time. Immediately after taking control, Jianghu Shuang got the connection with this soul body from the origin of this soul. Jianghu Shuang has a feeling that he really has mastered the life and death of this soul body now. Did he really give me the origin of his soul? Master, can I return to that gourd now? The soul body begged. The origin of the soul is controlled by Jianghu Shuang. It can be said that his own life and death are in the thought of Jianghu Shuang. This soul body is also simple enough, and even the title of Jianghu Shuang has become the master. Yes. Jianghu Shuang no longer obstructed. Without the blocking of sword unparalleled, this soul body quickly returned to the gourd. However, even if he returned to the scarlet gourd, Jianghu Shuang could still pass the soul source and have absolute control over it. What happened to Jianghu Shuang's god was not known to the Lord of the Heavens and the Lord of Time and Space. They just noticed that a mighty soul inside the scarlet gourd drew into Jianghu Shuang's body, and then the power of Jianghu Shuang's soul disappeared briefly. This surprised both the Lord of the Heavens and the Lord of Space and Time. Fortunately, it wasn't long before Jianghu Shuang's soul power recovered. Finally, Jianghu Shuang opened his eyes and a faint smile appeared on his face. Jian Tianho, what's going on? The Celestial Alliance leader asked. Heavenly friend, has something happened? The Lord of Time and Space also looked over. The two don't have to be nervous. Jianghu Shuang waved his hand and laughed. It just happened. Following Jianghu Shuang, the process of losing the soul body just described briefly. My dear, the soul in this scarlet gourd wants to win the sword heaven in your house? What a courage. The leader of the Cut Sky Alliance with a trace of anger. The Lord of Time and Space is chuckling. This soul body is really unlucky. He is not good at robbing him, but he is robbing you of Xiaoshenhao. You are the perfect level of life. On the other hand, you are absolutely invincible. If you want to lose your house, even if you are supreme at the peak, you will never be able to do it. But he is unlucky enough to steal chicken and not eclipse the rice. Now his soul is in my hands. Jianghu Shuang smiled. The origin of the soul? The eyes of the Lord of the Cut Heaven Alliance and the Lord of Time and Space were all bright. Tianho Xiaoyu, do you mean that soul body has given you the origin of your soul? The Master of Time and Space asked. Yes. Jianghu Shuang nodded his head. If he doesn't surrender the source of the soul, I will kill his soul body in my body. Ah, that's great. The Lord of Time and Space said with a smile. This soul body is so arrogant that it must have a long history. Jianghu Xiaoyu, you have to ask quickly. Well, the sword was unparalleled, and his consciousness covered the scarlet gourd. Who are you? Jian Wushuang asked in a deep voice. Return to the master. My name is Demon Flame from Wuxia Astral Realm, and is a master of chaos reaching the ultimate level. The soul body inside the gourd respectfully. Magic flame? Jian Wushuang looked. He remembered that before that pupil actively called out the body of the demon flame with a blood-colored gourd, and the body of the demon flame should be the hand of the demon flame. And without the astral realm he has not heard of it, and it is not the astral realm of this star field. Domination of chaos at the ultimate level? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. He thought that this soul body was a supreme one, but he did not expect it to be a chaos master. However, he knows that the chaos dominates only the 3 levels of elementary, higher, and top. As for the so-called ultimate level, he does not know what is the ultimate level? Jian Wushuang asked. The master doesn't know the ultimate? Demon Flame's soul body was obviously a little surprised. The star field we are in now should be the marginal zone of the universe. The strongest here is only the top dominating level, and there is no ultimate dominating level. Jian Wushuang indifferently said. Is that so? Moyan's soul body became clear, followed by Zheng said, Master, but I do not know the top-level masters of your star field. How many rules are incorporated? This. Jian Wushuang frowned. He didn't know this question and could only ask the Lord of the Heavenly Sword and the Lord of Space and Time. In our star domain, as long as the 4 rules are fused, they can become masters. As far as I know, most masters are only fused with the 4 rules, while higher masters generally understand the 5 rules, but fail to fuse all 5 rules together. As for the top dominating level, I don't know if anyone merges the 5 rules. Tianho Xiaoyu, have you ever dealt with the top master before? Can't you feel it? The master of time and space asked. When I played against the supreme master, I did not see the 5 rules incorporated in her attack. I think she should not have reached this step. As for the master of Peng that day, although he also fought with me, he did not do everything with all my strength. I haven't reached it. I don't know. Jian Wushuang shook his head. Magic Flame, is only the master who fuses the 5 rules the master of the ultimate level? Jian Wushuang asked. Chapter 3765? No, master, you have misunderstood. The master of the 5 rules is only the second-order chaos master. It is far from the ultimate level, said Mo Yen. It's a long way to go? Jian Wushuang stunned. Magic Flame, you can say clearly. Master, this is the case. In the vast universe, chaos dominates this level. Most of the time, it is determined according to the number of fusion rules. The most common is the fusion of the 4 rules. Among them is called the master of the first series. This level of is the most mediocre and ordinary in the vast universe. Any third-level astral world can give birth to many such dominations, but starting from the second level, it's not that simple. The magic flame soul body began to narrate. Master, you should also be aware that although the rules of heaven and earth are far from the laws of the universe, but under the premise that the rule and chaos do not involve the laws of the universe, it is very important to understand and master the rules of heaven and earth. And although it is easier to understand the rules of heaven and earth, it is not difficult to fully understand a rule. Especially after the breakthrough reaches the level of dominance, the induction of the rules of heaven and earth will be stronger and the speed of understanding is much easier than at the level of the master of the rules, but the integration between rules and rules is still extremely difficult. After all, rules have their own characteristics. It's not easy to merge 2 rules alone and 3, 4, or even more rules merge. The difficulty is 10 times higher. Many people do until it's easy to merge the 4 rules to break through and become the master, but this is their limit. The poor can't integrate the 5th rule in their lives, so they will always be the masters of the first series. In the vast universe, the first level dominates are the most. Basically, 99 of the 100 dominated are only the first level dominated. The master of the second level is the fusion of 5 rules, and the number of masters in this category is relatively small. Of course, even the masters of the second level are still far worse than the masters of the ultimate level, because they can be called the masters of the ultimate level, and many of them basically integrate the 9 rules. Speaking of this, Moyan's soul body paused. Jian Wushuang heard, but his head was a little cyanosis. Magic Flame, you just said the ultimate level of mastering with full 9 rules? The sword has no double-sided color. It's really difficult to merge rules, which he knows very well. You have to know that he is only merging the 4 rules now, and it is still a long way from the point where the 4th rule is merged to reach the threshold of breaking through the domination. The integration of the 9 rules is too far away for him. What shocked Jian Wushuang is that the rules can be integrated with each other. 9 is the level of heaven and earth. No matter who it is, the limit is the fusion of 9 rules, so it is called the ultimate. As for the fusion of 6 or more rules, for example, the master of the fusion of 6 rules is ruled by the universe. Call it the 3rd level master. Fusing the 7 rules is the master of the 4th series. Fusing the 8 rules is the master of the 5th series. In the vast universe, the dominator of the 5th series is already a top power. It can easily occupy a 2nd level astral space, or even a smaller star field. As for the ultimate level of domination, as long as it does not go to the depths of the universe, then the most prosperous and strongest places can easily become a party's overlord. Like me, I used to be a hegemon in a certain territory of the universe for a period of time. His Majesty ruled 5-star domains. Later, because I felt too boring, I ran to the deepest part of the universe, which is the most prosperous. The place went violently, but accidentally provoked a strong enemy and was directly killed by the opponent. Only the soul escaped by chance, and finally happened to enter the gourd by coincidence and fell asleep. Jian Wushuang could not help but pout. He had just heard this demon flame say that he was the ultimate master, and he was a bit dismissive. After all, he had contacted the Supreme. But I did not expect that the ultimate level of was so good that he could easily rule a few stars and become a party hegemon. Magic Flame, you just said you provoke a strong enemy. That strong enemy should be the Supreme, right? Jian Wushuang asked. No, it's not the Supreme. Demon Flame shook his head. What kind of Supreme is that? It's the deepest part of the universe. It's also a top-level existence. I'm not brave enough to provoke it, let alone if I really provoke it. The Supreme himself shot. How could my soul have a chance to escape? Isn't it Supreme? Isn't that the one who annihilated your deity at the beginning, but also an ultimate master? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes. Moyan nodded. But it is also the master of the ultimate level. That guy's strength is much stronger than me, and it can even be said that it is not a level at all. How to say? Jian Wushuang wondered. All are the masters of the ultimate level. Why does Moyan say that the other party is not a level with him? That guy didn't just incorporate the 9 rules. Most importantly, he also learned a bit of the rules of the universe. The flame of the magic flame is a bit cold, the law of the universe, but only the supreme superpowers are qualified to be involved, but the guy has realized a trace, even if it is only this trace, but still let his strength reach a brand new, can be said to be half-step supreme. I played against him, completely crushed by him, and there was no room for resistance. If I didn't react fast enough, my soul would not be able to escape from him. Is that so? Sword unparalleled. He is clear about the terrible laws of the universe. And as he expected, even the master has the opportunity to understand the laws of the universe, just to see if he has that talent and understanding. Magic Flame, I'll ask you again, what's wrong with this scarlet gourd? Jian Wushuang asked. This gourd is actually not a treasure, but its material is very special, and it can shield the detection of the soul of the General Master. At that time, the body was annihilated, and even the soul was severely damaged. I was at a loss when I saw this gourd, so I immediately ran into this gourd, covered my soul with this gourd, and soon fell into a deep sleep. As for the subsequent events, I don't know, nor do I know how I came to this star field. Moyan said. Chapter 3766. What about those special spar? And what's going on with your soul awake? Jian Wushuang asked again. This has something to do with my origin. Moyan didn't hide it. I wonder if the master has ever heard of the Tuanjin? Swallow the genes? Jian Wushuang shook his head. The master should have never left the star field, nor did he really wander through the universe. I do indeed know if it is normal, Xingyan said. The Tuanjin tribe is a relatively rare ethnic group in the vast universe. Most of this ethnic group was born by birth, just like the special life, except that the special life is unique. The Tuanjin tribe is a group. In the vast universe, the number of swallowing gene people is very small, and I have only run into 2 people for so long. The Tuanjin has a natural talent, that is, it has a strong sense of all kinds of special crystals, and we naturally like to swallow these special crystals, and we can even improve ourselves by swallowing these special crystals. Strength, of course, includes swallowing these special spar to restore divine power and injury. And as a member of the Tuanjin family, I naturally have a strong feeling for these special spar. My soul was hit hard and I slept in the gourd. I don't know how many years of sleep. Until recently, someone recognized Lord, let me wake up for a while. Oh. Jian Wushuang looked. Not long ago? How long is that? It should have been tens of millions of years, Moyan said. Jian Wu's eyelids rolled over. For tens of millions of years, it was only a while ago in the mouth of the magic flame? But it is also normal. The magic flame does not know how long it has been asleep in that gourd. For tens of millions of years, it may indeed be very short-term for the ultimate master like him. 10 millions of years ago, this gourd should be in the hands of Master Tong. Jian Wushuang secretly said. What then? Jian Wushuang continued to ask. Although the man acknowledged the gourd, he could not sense my existence from this gourd, but instead I found a chance at this time. The magic flame continued, You know, my soul is seriously damaged. I'm going to fix it by myself. I want to know how long it will take until I can wake up on my own, but if I can help with it, I can get a lot faster. So I slightly triggered some movements in the gourd, and also showed my desire for those special spar, which made the person mistakenly think that this gourd is an amazing treasure, and immediately sent many special spar into the gourd. A lot of special spar came in, and my soul repaired much faster than before. In the future, I simply used my innate sensitivity to those special spar so that this person tried to get me all kinds of special spar and gave it to me to swallow, of course, in order to convince him of this gourd it's really a treasure, and I've brought him some benefits. Is that the body of the magic flame? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes. Demon Flame nodded. The demon flame body is just the name I lied to him. In fact, it was the gold-swallowing body I reshaped. Of course, a gold-swallowing body that is exactly the same as my peak period. It doesn't happen overnight, I can only wait slowly, my soul continues to fall asleep, and the body of the magic flame can also sense those special crystals. Let that person continue to search for various crystals for me. And when he is in danger, of course, he can summon this flame body, which can greatly increase his strength in a short time. Originally my purpose was to make use of the special crystals he found to restore my soul completely. As soon as I recovered, I could immediately rob him and take control of his body. Then I could plunder all kinds of things myself. Spar, this will reduce the time to shape the gold-swallowing body, everything is in my plan until now, and what's next? When Moyan said this, he paused. The next thing Jian Wushuang naturally knew. The pupil was killed by him and the gourd fell into his hands. Like the pupil, he thought that the gourd was a treasure at first, and gave all kinds of special crystals to the gourd to devour, and even to the end the cutter heads are all fed into the gourd. But I did think that the blade directly let the magic flame's soul body fully awaken and recover. The soul completely restored the magic flame. Of course, the first time I wanted to win the sword swordless, but I did not expect that sword flames was the perfect level of life. Cultivator, he stole chicken instead of eclipsing rice, but planted himself instead. Magic flame, you said that the blade I swallowed was blood iron. What is this blood iron? Jian Wushuang asked again. You would like to know the value of the cutter head. After all, the knife disc is extraordinary, and the demon flame is obviously damaged and it will take a long time to recover. As a result, the knife disc is restored directly after it has been swallowed, but you can think of how well the knife disc is. Blood iron is one of the rarest and most precious special spar in the vast universe. This level of spar is of great value. The knife and disc you swallowed by the host, although it contains only a part of blood, it's estimated that there are only about 10 pounds of iron, but the value of 10 pounds of blood iron is enough to make the Supreme be impressed. Even if it was my peak period, it is almost impossible to get such a large piece of blood iron. I also did not expect that in such a star domain you, the master, would have blood iron. There is indeed an incredible trace of magic flame in the heart. And when he heard what the flame said, Jian Wushuang didn't get angry. It's a pity that such a precious piece of blood iron is now swallowed up by you, and I have lost a piece of blood iron and nothing. If you do get it, you almost lost your job. This. Demon Flames murmured inwardly but followed him. Master, although you lost a piece of iron, but you got me as a slave. Stones have a strong induction, and the higher the level of spar, the more sensitive my induction is. In the future I will be by your side. What special spar will you not get? Furthermore, how can I say that I was an ultimate master in my life, even in the deepest part of the universe? More or less, it is a bit of insight. The owner is a perfect life, and the limitations of the future must not be just this star field. I must go to the vast universe, and my master will definitely need my knowledge and experience. In addition, there is a gold-swallowing deity in the gourd. Although the deity is still in the remodeling stage, it should be useful to the owner. Chapter 3767. 3 benefits. The first is the innate ability of the Tunshins to special spar. The second is the ultimate level of insight and experience of Demon Flame. The third is that swallowed gold deity. These first 2 benefits are not very useful for Jian Wushuang at this stage. After all, he is still in this star field and does not need too much knowledge and experience. As for the innate sensing ability of special spar, he is now no special spar is needed at all. Just like the knife plate he got before, it contains blood iron, but he has no use in his hand, so he will devour it to the magic flame. Rather, it is the third benefit that Mo Yan said, but it makes Jian Wushuang care a little. Swallow the gold body? Jian Wu's eyes narrowed slightly. He had seen with his own eyes the scene where the master of the pupil summoned the gold deity from the scarlet gourd. The pupil himself is not the primary master's combat power. After summoning the gold swallowing blessing, the combat power can rival the higher master, even in the higher master. In particular, his body can be many times stronger. Of course, Jian Wushuang is interested in this ability. Of course, the pupil's strength is much weaker than him, so the strength will increase so much after summoning the gold swallowing body, and Jian Wushuang itself is the top strength among the higher masters. The improvement will not be too great, but it will also improve a lot. It may even give him the ability to fight the top masters. Magic Flame, what condition do you need to summon your gold swallowing body? Jian Wushuang asked. This. Mo Yan hesitated for a while before he said, go back to the master. After all, the gold swallowing body is still in the remodeling stage, and it has just begun to shape. It is not yet perfect. Although the master can call it out and bless his own strength, but each time you summon it, the power consumed will be extremely huge, and you need to swallow a lot of special spar to restore this gold swallowing body to the unsummoned stage. Is that so? Jian Wushuang's eyes narrowed. Of course, if the master does not come to a critical juncture, he should not easily summon the gold swallowing god, and if there is a chance, the master can also get as many special spar as possible for me to swallow, so that my reshaped gold swallowing also it will become more and more powerful, and after calling out, your blessing to your master will also be stronger. Mo Yan said again. I see. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. He understands the usefulness of the gold swallowing god, which is the reformed demon flame, but due to some special relationships of the gold swallowing tribe, the gold swallowing can be like a treasure to bless his strength, but every time this blessing is performed, it takes a lot of special spar to replenish it. If the gold swallowing body has not been used, and a large number of special crystals are often devoured by the magic flame, the gold swallowing body will become stronger and stronger, and it will naturally be more useful to him. Of course, this is just what Mo Yan himself said. As for the facts, Jian Wushuang didn't fully believe it. This swallowed gold deity is a devotional body prepared by this demon flame for himself. It can withstand his peak cultivation and strength. If I really desperately devour all kinds of special spar, I really let he completely remodeled the gold swallowing body, and after he fully controlled the gold swallowing body, his 8 achievements can be restored to its peak strength. Jian Wushuang groaned secretly. How strong was the magic flame at its peak? It is the ultimate master, second only to the supreme, and the kind of anti-master who understands a trace of the laws of the universe. If such a superpower is restored to its peak strength, Jian Wushuang really has little confidence to fully control him. Even though the source of the soul of this magic flame is now in his hands and he respects himself, it seems that he has completely surrendered, but Jian Wushuang is still full of vigilance against this magic flame. You know, the master of the ultimate level, who has wandered through the deepest part of the universe, who knows if he has any strange means to get rid of his control. If not, that is okay, but once you have it, you will have to work hard to collect all kinds of special spar for him so that he can restore his peak strength. It is just digging for himself. Once the magic flame returns to its peak strength and gets rid of its own control, the magic flame custody will immediately turn his face to kill him. Jian Wushuang's vigilance is necessary. And just as he expected, the demon flame was respectful on the bright side, and the owner was extremely friendly, and he knew everything about the sword unparalleled, and he did not dare to violate it. He can't help it. In order to survive, he can only bow his knees and can only bow his head like Jian Wushuang. However, it does not mean that he would really be willing to surrender at the foot of Jian Wushuang. After all, how could the mighty master of the ultimate level surrender to a rule-level ant? Even if the ruler is the legendary perfect life. This seat is helpless now only for you, but you must not let this seat find an opportunity otherwise. Mo Yan's heart is already doing various calculations. He is already calculating how to find a chance to kill Jian Wushuang, and then get rid of the control of Jian Wushuang. After all, the origin of his soul is in Jian Wushuo. Jian Wushuang might kill him with a little unhappiness. This feeling that life and death are completely under the control of the other party, he is reluctant for a moment, but there is no way for the time being. His current plan is very clear, that is, wait for the sword to die. He is very clear that with the strength of Jian Shuang, it may be difficult to die in this star field, but one day he will definitely go to other star fields of the universe or the depths of the universe, and once he goes to a wider star field, where there are many strong, naturally more dangerous. Even though Jian Wushuang is the perfect life, he will die if he is not careful. As long as Jian Muzu is dead, he can get rid of his control. Of course, it is possible that Jian Wushuang will still choose to kill his soul and let him be buried, but he is not worried at all. The ruler of a rule, has a rough understanding of the soul. Even if this seat gives his soul source control, he wants to rely on this soul source to kill the seat. It is not easy to be afraid. What's more, there are so many dangers in the universe, many of them are fleeting. He may die in a flash of time. There is no chance of reaction. How can there be any chance to deal with this seat? Demon Flame thought clearly. But now he is still very powerless to face Jian Wushuang, and can only honestly offer Jian Wushuang. Chapter 3768. Demon Flame resents Jian Wushuang, but now he dares not to violate Jian Wushuang, and can only bow to his knees. And Jian Wushuang is also full of vigilance against this magic flame. The reason why he did not directly kill the magic flame is also because he now really has the place to get the magic flame. Both have their own minds. Flame, you will be honest in that gourd in the future. If I have something to look for in you, you must respond immediately. If you dare to have a bit of neglect, I will kill you directly. Jian Wushuang said coldly. Yes. Demon Flame was terrified. Of course, if it is possible in the future, I will get you more special spar. Jian Wushuang go. Thank you, master. Moyan was another joy. Jian Wushuang nodded his head, and then waved the scarlet gourd into the ring of Chen Kuan. After solving this scarlet gourd, Jian Wushuang turned his hands and took out the strongest treasure of the pupil. The whole body is dark and exudes a faint light of war armor. The surface of this war armor is smooth, but with a little bit of shackles. A faint fierce atmosphere also slowly spread from the armor. Obviously this warframe is a fierce creature. With my strength, it shouldn't be difficult to refine this strongest arcane warframe. Jian Wushuang closed his eyes and has begun to refine the Arcana warframe. As he expected, the strongest treasure battle gear. Although the threshold of refining is extremely high, ordinary masters may not be able to reach it. However, Jian Wushuang's strength is there, and it is very easy to get the recognition of the strongest treasure. In just 3 days, Jian Wushuang refined the strongest Arcana warframe, and at the same time he immediately got the specific information of this Arcana warframe. Yujin Demon Armor? Sword Wushuang looked. Wujin Demon Armor is the name of this strongest treasure. The name looks ordinary, but its origins are extraordinary. This Wujin Demon Armor was made by a master of the refining machine after killing a master-level demon dragon, and using the dragon's dragon wallet to carry the dragon bone, and the master of the refining machine also even the soul of the demon dragon. Completely sealed on this Yujin dragon armor. Over the years, the soul of the dragon has been tortured, and the resentment has grown, which has led to a more intense period of warfare, and the power is naturally stronger. As soon as Jian Wushuang's thoughts moved, the Wujin Demon Dragon Armor immediately replaced the Blood Demon Cave Sky Armor, turning it into an ordinary black gown covering him, and then Jian Wushuang began to feel the power of this Wujin Demon Dragon Armor. Yujin Demon Dragon Armor, being the strongest treasure battle gear, the body protection ability is indeed much stronger than my previous Blood Demon Cave Sky Armor. Jian Wushuang secretly sighed. The strongest treasure battle gear and the peak treasure battle gear seem to be only a level gap, but this level is like a world divide. The top-level treasure armor can still resist most of the power in the face of attacks from the general primary dominance level, but if the opponent's strength reaches the high-level mastership or even the top-level dominance level, the top-level treasure battle armor will be difficult to bear. The final weakened power was also limited. But the strongest Arcana warframe is different. The most powerful arcane warframe, even if the top master takes the shot himself, can resist more than 90% of the power, and those below the top master can even resist 99%, leaving only 1% of the power. What a shock to hit his master. Because of this, the pupil is obviously of average strength, but Jian Wushuang still has to spend so long to kill him, and also shows so many means to follow the whole cards. The pupil is all the same, and now the Wujin Demon Armor has fallen into the hands of Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's body protection ability is much stronger than Hitomi. His body is far beyond that of Hitomi. There is also a body sword like the Guardian of the Earth. Now there is the strongest armor of the Supreme Treasure Armor. Can be said that the current sword is unparalleled. In this star field, it is absolutely possible to walk sideways. In this star field, no one can threaten him anymore. Even if the opponent is the top master, even if 2 or 3 top masters join forces, there is absolutely nothing he can do. Of course, if out of this star field, in other places such as the strong master of the Lord of the Clouds, Jian Wushuang still cannot cope with it. After all, the top master of this star field, according to the magic flame, I am afraid that it is only the master of the first level, at best it barely reaches the second level, and the magic cloud master can occupy a second level, its strength is certainly not weak. According to Jian Shaoxuang's speculation, the Lord of the Demon Cloud is likely to be the master of the 3rd series or even the 4th series. That level of is naturally nothing to the entire vast universe, but for the sword unparalleled and even for this star field, it is an existence that cannot be provoked. In addition to its own body protection ability, this Yujin demon armor also has its own power. Almost all the power of this armor comes from the magic dragon sealed in the armor. As long as the requirements are met, the power of the magic dragon in the armor can be evoked. With the power of the magic dragon, the strength can be achieved. One step further. After Jian Wushuang recognized Wujin demon armor, he knew that the Wujin demon armor had 4 powers in total. The first power is to stimulate the soul of a demon dragon. As for the conditions for activation, most of the masters can achieve it. The second power is to inspire 30% of the dragon's soul, and it is necessary to grasp the breath of the law of the universe before it can be triggered. The third power, 60% of the soul of the demon dragon, needs to understand a bit of the law of the universe. The fourth most powerful power, the soul of the 10% demon dragon, is naturally more demanding. The pupil himself is not very strong. Although he owns the Wujin demon armor, at best he can only evoke the first power and stimulate the soul of a demon dragon. I am afraid that his ability to improve is very limited. And I, although only the master of the rules, but I have long grasped the breadth of the laws of the universe, but it can barely stimulate the second power of this Wujin demon armor. Jian Wushuang's eyes suddenly lighted. Stand up. Try it. The sword Wushuang's idea moved, and the second power of Wujin demon armor suddenly triggered. The sound of a dragon whispered suddenly from heaven to earth. This dragon mingled with monstrous resentment, and then a majestic evil spirit surged out of the Wujin demon dragon armor, directly covering the body of the sword unparalleled sword. The moment the evil spirit covered the whole body, Jian Wushuang also clearly sensed his own strength change. My power seems to have improved a lot? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and slammed his hands. Click, the space almost exploded by him. Chapter 3769. This power is probably too strong. Jian Wushuang's figure was a little excited, and his eyes were full of surprises. He had thought that the second power of the Yujin demon dragon armor would not be greatly enhanced. After all, it was only 30% of the power of demon dragons. But in fact, these 30% of the dragon's power blessed his strength too much. Now he doesn't use any mystery and means at all, but the power that can be instantaneously erupted. The sword Wushuang still feels slightly stronger than the general higher master. Almost approaching their peak power. You know, he has not performed the magical power of life, has not performed the sky-cutting technique, and has not used the willpower given by the laws of the universe. The power is so arrogant without using these things. If he bursts out with all his strength, then the power, I am afraid that it is no longer weaker than the average top master. With the strength of 30% of the dragons evoked by the Wujin demon armor, my power should not be much weaker than the top master. On swordplay and the perception of the origin of the Kendo universe, I will never be better than the top master. Weak, plus I have the strongest flying class such as Shuangguang Yantianyi, and I use the Shuangguang Phantom and the suppression in the field. Now I really want to find a real top master to learn from each other. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands. Top dominate he also played against. But this so-called confrontation is just to save lives in the other's hands. The top master can't kill him, but he can easily crush him. This sword is very clear. But now, with the Wujin demon armor, let him have the power that is comparable to the top master, but he is looking forward to really fighting against the top master. He now has absolute self-confidence, and if he meets the top masters he is definitely qualified for the first battle. And if the original universe of talents is displayed within 10 breaths, he can even suppress ordinary top masters. Jiandianho, how about the armor? The Lord of the Heavens and the Lord of Time and Space looked at it. Very good. Jian Wushuang stood up with a smile on his mouth. With this strongest treasure, not only has my body protection ability reached a whole new level again, but my strength can also be improved than before. A cut. Oh. The Lord of the Heavens and the Lord of Time and Space looked at each other. Jian Wushuang's previous strength is already strong enough in their eyes, and now it has improved a bit? Is it possible to compete with the top masters? Once you got the strongest Arcana Warframe, our purpose of coming to the Red Cloud Realm this time has been achieved, and you also got one of the most powerful flying Arcana, which can be said to be a big surprise as for the next. Although there are still thousands of years before the Red Cloud Realm will be closed, it does not matter whether or not you can get any treasures for the remaining thousands of years. Well, Jian Wushuang nodded. On Arcana, now he not only has the strongest attacking Arcana, but also the strongest Arcana battle gear, the strongest flying Arcana, and the strongest suppressing Arcana. Can be said that he has the strongest Arcana in all aspects. He basically has it. The only thing missing is probably the strongest Arcana in the field. However, he has the top of the field category, and the combination of the two areas of the Shuangguang realm in Zhuangguang's Tianyi, the field power is also close to the strongest domain class. As the Lord of Time and Space has said, his gains in the Red Cloud realm have been huge in recent years, and even exceeded expectations long ago. As for whether he can get other treasures, it is no longer necessary to force them. Jian Tianho, what are your plans for the next? The leader of the Celestial Alliance asked. After I got the Wujin Demon Dragon armor, my strength has improved a lot. Now I really want to go and see the top masters. Now the top masters of this star field are almost in this Red Cloud world, so I plan to continue rush here not to get the treasure but to hone your sword skills by the way to find those top masters to fight. Sword Wushuangdo. Okay, with your current strength, when you meet the top master, even if you can't save your life, there is no problem at all. I and Zhu Tian will not hinder you, and you continue to fight here, said the master of time and space. Jian Wushuang nodded. By the way, the legend of the Red Cloud Realm, that is, the Stepping Tianfeng, don't forget it. The master of time and space again urged. If you can, you go to the Stepping Tianfeng earlier to use your talent strength, maybe there is a chance to break through. I remember. Jian Wushuang answered. Jian Wushuang will never forget that stepping to the peak of the sky. He still wants to spend some time in the Red Cloud Realm. It is best to have a fight with one or two top masters. When the fight is over, he will go to Tianfeng. The Lord of the Heavens and the Lord of Time and Space left. And Jian Wushuang continued to wander in this Red Cloud world. But now, he has no ideas or thoughts about those precious treasures born in the Red Cloud Realm. His purpose is only to fight with those top masters, so naturally he doesn't need to stay on this third continent, but to go after the continents with top dominance existed. They began to wander. For more than 5,000 years since the opening of the Red Cloud Realm, Jian Wushuang, together with the Lord of the Heavens and the Temple of Time and Space, joined forces to kill the pupil. This battle shook the entire Red Cloud Realm. 400 years later, on the second continent, in a battle for supreme treasure, Jian Wushuang and an extremely powerful high-level master, Bingu, dominated the encounter. The Ice Fox dominates, but it is a high-ranking master. Its combat power is definitely the top one among the high-ranking masters, and it is better than the Axe Master. After the encounter, Jian Wushuang directly challenged the Ice Fox Master, and the two fought. As a result, the battle only lasted for a moment, and the Ice Fox Master conceded directly, admitting that he was not his opponent. The 6,600 years opened by the Red Cloud Realm, Jian Wushuang once again encountered the Master of Evil. Evil dominate, that is one of the hegemons in this star field. Although the combat power is not as good as the top master, it is one of the few people in this star field who dares to challenge the top master. He attacked with mighty power, far surpassing ordinary high masters. He was also very good at speed and body protection ability, and there were many mysterious methods, which was no weakness. Because of this, many people in this star field think that the evil dominator is the first person under the top domination. However, when encountering Jian Wushuang and after a battle, the name of the first person under this top dominion changed immediately. This battle was extremely fierce. At the beginning, Jian Wushuang only used the power of will given by the magical power of life, celestial spells, and the laws of the universe. With the advantages in the field, he battled with evil and dominated it. Can follow the sword Wushuang to cast the Shuangguang Phantom Method. Chapter 3770. The Shuangguang Phantom Method is a bit too scary. Once cast, even if the evil master can't keep up with the speed of Jian Wushuang, it is easily suppressed by Jian Wushuang. Next, there was a complete one-sided suppression, and the evil lord could not even find many opportunities to fight back. So it didn't take long before the evil lord conceded. Since then, the first person dominated by the top has become sword unparalleled. In the 7,500th year of the opening of the Red Cloud Realm, on the first continent, Jian Wushuang finally encountered a top master. The top master is the Empty Master. This is a top master with terrific fame and extremely terrible strength. His Majesty the Emperor of the Air also has a huge force. This force is no less than the Beihai Palace under the leadership of Tianpeng, and is even slightly stronger than the Beihai Palace to a certain extent. And the decisive killer rises in the wind, stepping on the endless skeletal bones. Perhaps he may not be stronger than Tianpeng's dominance in terms of strength, but he is undoubtedly more awesome or afraid. Before Jian Wushuang heard that the empty owner was rushing on the first continent, he deliberately rushed over. After encountering the empty owner, he was immediately overjoyed, and went straight up to challenge without saying a word. As the top master, the empty master claimed his identity and would not go to the trouble of the weak, but if anyone did not open his eyes to provoke him, he would kill him without mercy. So when Jian Wushuang took the initiative to challenge, he shot without hesitation. In this battle, the fighting sky was dark and many people watched the battle. And the final result of this battle was even more horrifying to everyone. You know, before Jian Wushuang fought against the empty master, almost everyone thought that the battle was one-sided. After all, the empty master was the top master and had been famous for a long time. And the sword unparalleled, even if the combat power is extraordinary, is known as the first person under the top master, but he is just a ruler? In many people's opinion, how can a ruler have a limit against the sky? It is already incredible to be able to defeat a high-level master. As for the top masters, few people think so. In fact, in this battle, sword warriors broke out with full force, many methods of mystic skills were launched at the same time, and it also triggered the strength of 30% of the dragons in Wujin demon armor, which instantly increased its power to the level of the top master. And his sword skills are also extremely powerful in conjunction with the Shuangguang Phantom method, and fight against the empty master in a short time did not fall in the slightest. Of course, the empty master is the empty master after all. After a fierce battle with Jian Wushuang, he finally went all out, and the secret technique was also launched, and finally the sword Wushuang reluctantly suppressed. But it was only barely suppressed. The empty owner also found himself unable to defeat Jian Wushuang directly. Finally, after nearly half an hour of fierce fighting, the two finally stopped. After the end of this battle, the empty master announced to the outside that Jian Wushuang already has the top dominating combat power. As soon as the news spread, the entire Red Cloud realm became a sensation. You know, Jian Wushuang is just a ruler? This is confirmed by several top masters, and even the top masters agree that Jian Wushuang is only the master of rules, so it is naturally impossible for him to rely on mystery to hide his cultivation. And the ruler has the top dominator's combat power, which is really too scary. On the first continent, above the vast void, Jian Wushuang was slowly moving forward, and at the same time he was chatting with the Lord of the Heavens and the Lord of Time and Space in the Shen Shinto. Tianho Xiaoyu you do and Tino. Now the entire Red Cloud realm and even the entire star field are completely sensational. Although I am in the Xingong Palace, there are already a lot of masters who have sent me messages to have a good relationship with me, especially the leaders of some forces in this star domain all congratulated me and came to make good friends with me. Honestly, my star house has also existed in this star field for many years and has a certain status in this star field, but this position is only average among the many forces in this star field, but it's completely different. Xian Shinto laughed. It's normal. Although there are some strong players in this star field, there are only 4 or 5 top masters, at most 6 or 7. Any top master can go sideways in this star field. No one dared to provoke me. Before that, my star palace relied on a few of us to sit in town. At that time, Zhitian and Tianzu had not publicly stated their position. Can be said that the Star Palace is mysterious God. How many people have the heart and mind? But now, as soon as we have stated our position, the Star Palace has several more masters at once, and more importantly, Tianho Xiaoyu is now recognized as having the top master's fighting power. Don't pay attention? The Lord of Time and Space also laughed aloud. Yes, the top master is different from the ordinary primary master and higher master. This is the strongest combat power in this star field. There is such a combat power. The Star Palace is absolutely no one in this star field. Dare to provoke it, even if we are a little ambitious, we can easily become the top ruler of this star field, just like Beihai Palace. Beihai Palace is a big hegemon in this star field. It is headed by Tianpeng, who dominates this top master. His Majesty also has 2 masters, and the Beihai Palace also has a profound heritage. However, the current Xingong Palace, but the number of dominating more than Beihai Palace, the top dominated combat power, there are swords in Wushuang sit, is not weaker than Beihai Palace. What is lacking is the bottom line and the rule of the main level of combat power. But the bottom line can be plundered, such as to destroy some other forces and plunder resources. And the ruler is better. www. Until novel. After Jian Wushuang's fame is out, many strong people are eager to join the Star Palace. As long as the Star Palace is willing, they can gather a large group of rules. Master of the strong level. Hearing these people's conversation, Jian Wushuang only smiled slightly. Although the entire starfield is now saying that he is the most terrible evil in this starfield history, the master level of the rule has the top dominating combat power, but in fact Jian Wushuang himself is very clear, his master Shen Yi, originally at the level of the rule master, he also has the top dominating combat power, but it's not long after Shen Yi had that combat power, and he didn't have time to show his strength in this starfield, so I know this. Not much. In other words, he is not the first genius in the history of this starfield, at least his master is in front of him. Chapter 3771. Of course, the reason why his master Shen Yi was able to match the top masters at the level of rule masters, in addition to being a perfect life in itself, is mainly because of that town monument. Xuanyi was able to reach the top dominating level just because he had mastered the Jintian monument. Although Jian Wushuang also relied on the power of the treasure, but his own strength still occupies a large factor, so to speak, even though he can't say that he surpassed his master, at least he can barely compare with his master. I've already had a battle with the top master, and I don't need to continue in this red cloud world anymore. It's time to set out for the 7th continent and take a look at Tianfeng. Wushuang laughed. Jian Tianho, are you going to step on the peak of the sky? Asked the leader of the Celestial Alliance. Jian Wushuang nodded. Okay, good luck to you. Haha, I hope you can become the first person in this star field to cross the Tianfeng peak. The Master of Space and Time also laughed. They are very relaxed inside. Tianfeng is a legend of the Red Cloud realm. No one has been able to pass the test on Tianfeng, but although the test on Tianfeng is extremely difficult, there is no danger of his life. Even if they can't make it, they can retreat, they will naturally not worry. Jian Wushuang smiled, and soon swept towards the 7th continent where Tianfeng was located. The 7 continents of the Red Cloud realm, the 1st to the 6th continent, are all scattered around. Only the 7th continent is at the center of the other continents. And Tianfeng is located at the center of the 7th continent. At the speed of the sword unparalleled, it didn't take long before they came to the 7th continent. There are still a large number of practitioners on this 7th continent, fighting frantically for the treasure. But Jian Wushuang has no interest in these treasures. He was not very fast along the way, so he went straight towards the most central stepping peak of the 7th continent. On the way, naturally encountered many practitioners. That dress and that look is the Lord of the Blood Sword. It's him. Wasn't he on the 1st continent before, and it's not long since he fought with the Empty Master? Why is he now on the 7th continent? The 7th continent is located at the center of the other continents. There were a lot of strong men who had been here. Now there is a Blood Sword Master who has the top dominating combat power. Now we want to get the treasure. Difficulty. Even bigger. No, except that the Lord of the Blood Swords contended for the highest treasure in the 3rd continent for the first 5,000 years. The next thing he moved around in other continents, challenged the Master, but did not participate in the highest treasure of the treasure. Obviously he is no longer interested in those precious treasures born in the Red Cloud realm, and now he comes to this 7th continent, either to challenge the strong or to come towards the Tianfeng peak. Treading Tianfeng? Many practitioners on the 7th continent could not help shaking. Although they are all on the 7th continent, and they all know the existence of Taishanfeng, the test in Taishanfeng is too difficult. They have no possibility at all, so they have always regarded that Taishanfeng as the impassable mountain in my heart. And now Jian Wushuang deliberately rushed to this 7th continent, and looking at the direction of his advance, it is clear that he came towards that peak. The Lord of the Blood Sword, it seems that he is really going to break into Tianfeng. Well, stepping on the peak of the sky is a legend. Although the Red Cloud realm has existed for so many years and has been born so many times, there are also countless powerful men who have come forward to it, but so far no one can really leave. At the top of the mountain, although the Lord of the Blood Swords is against the sky, I am afraid that he still cannot break through. It is difficult to say that the Lord of the Blood Sword has the top dominating power at the level of the Rule Master. He is completely hopeful to make a breakthrough. Maybe he really broke through? A large number of practitioners on the 7th continent talked. Stepping on the peak of the sky is an insurmountable mountain for many people, and they do not see any hope of breaking through. But the sword unparalleled, it is the first evil in this star field ever. The Rule Master level has the top dominating combat power, so against the sky, This also let them see a glimmer of hope. Maybe Jian Wushuang can really break through? Jian Wushuang did not pay attention to the thoughts of these practitioners. He went all the way forward and soon reached the center of this seventh continent just before stepping on Tianfeng. In front of me is a towering blood-colored giant peak. This blood-colored giant peak is directly inserted into the top red cloud. When people stand in front of this blood-colored giant peak, they can only feel two words, which is small. Even if it was Jian Wushuang coming to this giant peak, his heart couldn't help shaking. This giant peak is really too towering and its breath is too magnificent. Standing under Tianfeng, even though Jian Wushuang couldn't help raising a trace of awe. It is said that the peak of Tian Peak is connected to the second heaven and earth of the Red Cloud Realm. Unfortunately, from the birth of Red Cloud Realm to the present, no one in this star domain has ever been able to truly set foot on the peak of Tianfeng. Sword Warrior's Secret Road. From the mouth of Shenshin, Jian Wushuang also knew a little about this step to Tianfeng. This stepping Tianfeng is the only way to reach the second heavy sky of the Red Cloud Realm. Anyone who comes to the stepping Tianfeng cannot go directly to the sky, but must go up from the bottom of the peak step by step, and finally reach the peak. But on the way to the summit there are two tests, to be precise, two guardians. Only by passing the test of these two gatekeepers can we go to the top of the sky. As for whether or not there is a third test after reaching the summit of peaking at www.novel.com, that is, the existence of a third gatekeeper, it is unknown. After all, no one has set foot on the peak. Even the strongest in this star field can only pass the test of the foot of the mountain, but when they reach the mountainside, they will be easily defeated by the gatekeeper on the mountainside. Even if it is the top master, I can only pass the test at the foot of the mountain, but I am not the master, just a ruler. This test of Tianfeng seems to have something to do with the practitioner's own realm. Sword Wushuang secretly thought. If the rule master is the same as the master, then even the top master cannot pass the test on the mountainside, and the Sword Wushuang naturally cannot break through. But he is only a ruler and he has a great advantage in this regard. Try it. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath, and his body shape appeared at the foot of Taishanfeng. There was a road to the peak that was completely paved by steps. Chapter 3772. Starting from the first step, Jian Wushuang stepped forward step by step. His pace was not fast and he did not encounter any resistance on this step. He easily walked over hundreds of steps. However, this step to the Tianfeng peak is too tall. The road to the peak, at least, must have tens of thousands of steps. After Jian Wushuang passed the hundreds of steps, he still only steps at the foot of the mountain. At this time, Jian Wushuang saw a gazebo beside the steps above. Inside the gazebo there was a man in black with his back facing Jian Wushuang sitting there. The man in black looks very ordinary, and he doesn't exude a little bit of breath. Even though Jian Wushuang looked up at him, he didn't feel any divine power fluctuation from the man in black. However, it was the induction that made Jian Wushuang vigilant. At this time, the man in black also seemed to notice the arrival of Jian Wushuang, and saw that he turned to his side, and a pair of dark eyes looked at Jian Wushuang. This glance is just a simple gaze. But at the moment when the man in black looked at Jian Wushuang felt only a shock in his heart, as if the whole person had been thoroughly penetrated by the other person. Those bland eyes seemed to have a special magic power, and immediately let Jian Wushuang calm down. Little guy, you should be tired after walking for so long. I have a bowl of coarse tea here. How about coming over for a cup? The bland voice came from the man in black. Jian Wushuang saw that the man in black was sitting on the stone table. He did have 2 bowls of tea. He nodded slightly and walked over. I brewed the tea myself and tasted it. The man in black made an inviting gesture. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate, took a bowl of tea in front of him and drank it. Tea in the throat suddenly felt a strange bitter taste. This bitterness makes Jian Wushuang could not help but smash his tongue. But after the tea came into the belly, it was warm and pleasant. How do you feel? The man in black asked with a smile. Very good, just bitter? Jian Wushuang go. Haha, eating hard and suffering, Feng Weiren, little fellow, since you have eaten my tea, it means that you and I have a destiny. For you and me you have a destiny. I advise you, where did you come from? Where to go? This stepping Tianfeng is not so easy to break. The man in black said. I haven't really begun to make inroads yet. Do you know that I can't make it? Jian Wushuang asked with interest. The Red Cloud Realm has existed in your star field for so many years. Over the years, how many people have come here and stepped on Tianfeng, not to mention the ruler of you, even the master. There are hundreds of people who are afraid to come and go, but there are only a few of these masters who can pass me, and even if these masters are lucky they pass through the guard that I guarded. On the mountainside they will still be easily beaten back. Even those who reach the top of the first series, even a few second series masters, will be easily defeated by the mountainside man. Why is there a ruler in your area? The man in black said. Hearing the words of the man in black, Jianwu's eyes narrowed. He didn't doubt the truth of the man in black. The Red Cloud Realm has been in this star field for a long time. During this period, many star masters have been born in this star field. At the same time, many masters have already left this star field and headed for the more expansive star field. Now all these are counted. It is normal for hundreds of masters to come here to cross Tianfeng. Among the hundreds of masters there must be some top masters. According to what the man in black said, even if they are top masters, the general top masters still CNT pass him. Even if they pass by luck, they wait until the mountainside. At the same time, it would be easily defeated by the gatekeeper who was guarded on the mountainside, which made Jian Wushuang quite surprised. The man in black just said that the second-ranking dominator, even the second-ranking dominator, can't stand a shot in front of the guard who guards the mountainside? After all, the master is the master. Compared with the master of the rules, the requirements are naturally higher. I'm only a master of the rules. To pass you, shouldn't you need the top master's combat power? Jian Wushuang asked. Of course it is not necessary, but it is not easy to pass me. You want to try it? The man in black looked at Jian Wushuang with a smile. Of course, I don't just walk around here when I step on Tianfeng Peak. Jian Wushuang smiled. Okay. The man in black stood up. Let's get started. Just here? Jian Wushuang frowned. This is still at the foot of Tianfeng Mountain, and there is no spacious space around him to let them fight. Don't worry, not here. The man in black smiled. The tea you just ate is special. It can bring your consciousness into a special space. I also have a drink, so you and my consciousness will be in later. Fight in that special space, and in that special space, your strength can be used to the fullest without any restrictions. Even the power of Jibao is the same. Oh. Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up. He didn't expect that the cup of tea he had just eaten had such an effect. You wait a moment, then the tea will be effective soon. The man in black said. Sure enough, Jian Wushuang only felt that his body was fluttering, and his consciousness was led by a special force, and soon came to a special space. Here is a vast sea area. This sea area has a range of hundreds of millions of miles, let alone the sword is unparalleled. Even if the digital second or even third dominated here, they can fight freely. It wasn't long after Jian's double body condensed over the sea, and the figure of the man in black also appeared. Little guy, let's get out of it. The man in black smiled slightly, flipped it over and took out a dark gun. Although this dark pistol spreads an ancient atmosphere, its power is very general, and it is obviously not very amazing. Sword Wushuang and nonsense, Huang Quan's Excalibur immediately emerged from the sheath. A shocking sky of swords swept up instantly. Huang Quan Excalibur was in hand, and the sword Wushuang immediately sensed the power of Huang Quan Excalibur. Sure enough, even in the space of consciousness, the power of this Huang Quan divine sword is the same as in reality. A smile appeared on Jian Wushuang's face, followed by his figure, and he had already shot directly. Wow! I saw a cold sword light, cut out directly over a distance. The sword was cut in the void, but a huge crack appeared in the sea below. Oh! Dominate the level of combat power? The man in black appeared surprised. Chapter 3773? It's a bit of strength, no wonder it's so confident. The man in black smiled slightly. He guarded in this stepping sky peak. I don't know how many years in this star field alone. He has stayed for a few chaotic times, and in this long time, there are countless rulers come to challenge him, but these of the rule masters, there are very few that can erupt the level of dominance. And Jian Wushuang is undoubtedly one of them. However, even if you have the power to dominate and want to pass me, it is not so easy. The man in black looked relaxed and relaxed. After seeing Na Sen Lung Jingguang cut, he raised his hand and stabbed 3 shots straight forward. As if 3 streamers flashed at the same time. One streamer hit the sword light directly and crushed the sword light directly, while the other 2 streamers came from the left and right towards the sword unparalleled. At the same time, a special mood has risen. For a while, Jian Wushuang felt that he had fallen into an endless wave, and the 2 streamers from the 2 bursts were 2 of them. Interesting. Jian Wushuang smiled, and his figure easily strayed from those 2 streamers, but before he continued to shoot, the man in black wobbled at random. Suddenly, I saw a large number of sprays sweeping over him. Densely, he came from all directions towards his body. Jian Wushuang waved his hand, and the sword shadows burst out, destroying all the waves that swept away, but the number of those waves was too much, like an endless amount. Humph! Jian Wu's eyes were cold, and the divine power in his hand suddenly burst. Wow! A cold sword light suddenly swept out. This sword light, with an endless hatred, straddled the void in a destructive manner, and actually tore the waves in front of it. No matter how strong your artistic conception is, tear it directly. Jian Wushuang muttered. But the tide has just been torn. Boom. When I saw a lot of air waves rolling wildly, it seemed like endless waves rolling up in the sea. These waves are surging, the power of the carrier's astonishing power, and the endless assault of swords sweeping across. In a short time, Jian Wushuang seemed to be a lonely boat among the waves. This marksmanship. Jian Wushuang's bottom of his heart could not help raising a touch of shock. The power revealed by the man in black was not too strong, at most it was only the primary dominating level. But his marksmanship, especially the artistic conception in his marksmanship, was rich and scary. That mood is like an endless wave rolling, continuous, making Jian Wushuang completely trapped in it, unable to escape. Wah, 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 wah. The endless waves rolled, and among the waves exuding a breath of coldness were swept up by the continuous swords. The waves are endless. Jian Wushuang was completely drowned by these waves. In the face of these crazy waves, Jian Wushuang also fully exerted his sword skills, and saw countless sword lights coming out from his hands. The speed of these sword lights is extremely fast and extremely mysterious. Each sword light has the origin of Kendo universe and collides with those crazy waves. In a short period of time, Jian Wushuang collided tens of thousands of times with the waves around him. But the waves are endless and they are still sweeping wildly. Great, this marksmanship. Endless, it's too powerful. Jian Wushuang couldn't help but admire. This is the true marksmanship. The artistic conception and the mystery contained in it are simply unpredictable. The martial arts encountered by those who are good at marksmanship are completely different. He has also met many strong men who are good at marksmanship before. He is also encountered by top masters like Supreme Master. However, whether it is those masters and masters who are good at marksmanship or top masters like the Supreme Master, their marksmanship is also extremely good, but most of them are relatively single, either purely mighty or extreme. Terrible. Although it also contains a good mystery, the artistic conception of marksmanship is not high. At least it wouldn't be like it is now. With a single shot, the sword unparalleled was drawn into the endless waves. This man in black, even though his might is not too powerful, is better than any other marksmanship he has encountered before. If you are only an ordinary ruler or an ordinary elementary master, as long as you are caught in this endless wave, there is almost no possibility of struggle. You can only be trapped in this wave and be born alive. Compared to the shock of Jian Wushuang, the man in black was quite surprised at the moment. This little guy, caught in my wave style, can persist for so long? The man in black couldn't help but look at Jian Wushuang more. Although because of his identity as a gatekeeper when facing the ruler of Jian Wushuang, his strength cannot be exerted much, even if it is the wave style of the firing method now being cast, which contains the artistic conception and mystery, it is only 1,000th of the peak period, but even so, it is not the master of the rules or even the general primary masters can resist. But Jian Wushuang fell into this endless wave and persisted for so long, and continued to do so, which naturally made the men in black look a little eye-catching. Just then, plunged into the endless waves, seemingly passively resisting those spraying swords, and finally began to erupt. "I won't play with you. Break me." Jian Wushuang screamed loudly. He didn't improve his power just holding the sword in two hands and cutting out in anger. The strongest sword skill created by Jian Wushuang fell to Huangquan. A huge sword light swept out instantly. Cold and ruthless. As if you can tear away all obstacles in front of you. The most important thing is that at the moment when Jingguang showed off, the man in black clearly felt a breath of the law of the universe from this sword. This sword. The man in black narrowed his eyes sharply. The cold and ruthless Jingguang was tearing all the obstacles in front of him, tearing the endless waves, and even the artistic conception of guns surrounding the surrounding world was smashed by strangulation. The endless waves disappeared directly. But the cold and ruthless Jingguang, but still slashing, continued to cut off to the black man in the rear. The man in black raised the spear in his hand and blocked it in front of him. Clang. With a loud noise, the figure of the man in black was extremely heavy, and he took a few steps back before he could stand still again. In the space of consciousness, the outcome is already known. Chapter 3774. Stepping into the peak in the gazebo at the foot of the mountain. The eyes of Jian Wushuang and the man in black opened at the same time. "Senior, let it go." Jian Wushuang looked at the man in black and saluted slightly. Just before, Jian Wushuang only called this man in black as your lord, but after the battle in the consciousness space, Jian Wushuang understood that the other person's realm was much higher than himself, and he could be in the consciousness space. The main reason for defeating the other party is because the other party is the gatekeeper. In the face of being the ruler of one's own rule, the strength can only reach a certain level. As for the true strength of this man in black, there is no doubt that it is much stronger than Jian Wushuang. The shot he cast in the conscious space alone, the mystery contained in it, is enough to prove his monstrous strength. "I didn't expect your ruler to have a breath of the laws of the universe, which is rare." The man in black looked at Jian Wushuang in admiration, then shook his head and said, "Although you have a bit of strength, you have also passed the level I defended, but what you will face next is the test of the mountainside. The one guarded at the mountainside, although the real strength is not much better than me, but at the mountainside the combat power he can exert is far above me. If your strength is only the level of consciousness space just now, I advise you to give up directly because this kind of strength, there is no possibility to pass the test of the mountainside. The senior just lost too quickly. How do you know that it is my strongest strength?" Jian Wushuang chuckled. "Oh, looks like you still have more than just left?" The man in black smiled slightly. "Well then I won't persuade it, go, I hope you can break through the level on the mountainside." Jian Wushuang saluted the man in black again, then left the gazebo and continued to walk up the steps. Seeing Jian Wushuang leaving, the man in black sat down slowly and poured himself a bowl of tea. Looking at the little guy's appearance just in the conscious space, he did not use all his strength. It may even hide a lot of his strength, otherwise he might not be so confident. The man in black groaned secretly. In his opinion, he has shown his weak means in the consciousness space, and he also shows that the test on the mountainside is more difficult than his own. But Jian Wushuang is still so confident, which has fully demonstrated that Jian Wushuang's strength is far from being as simple as the space of consciousness. And it is true. In the space of consciousness, the sword unparalleled is only his swordsmanship. As for the power he uses is also the primary level of dominance, which is the same as the man in black. As for the mysterious means, and the highest treasure, he never used it. It can be said that most of his combat power is hidden and revealed in the space of consciousness just now, but only the tip of the iceberg. Because of this, when the man in black said how difficult the test at the mountainside was, Jian Wushuang didn't worry about it at all. Instead he had absolute confidence. "Oh, if that's the case, it's interesting." The man in black laughed suddenly, followed the thought and passed the word, "Old guy, a little guy will come to you right away, you can be careful, the little guy is not weak, so don't capsize in the gutter." After saying this, the man in black ignored the other's response and closed his eyes. After defeating the man in black in the space of consciousness, after passing the test of the foot of the mountain, Jian Wushuang continued to move forward. After walking thousands of steps, no two sides of the sword reached the mountainside where Tianfeng was reached. And beside the mountainside steps, there is a simple hut. The door of the hut was open and Jian Wushuang stepped directly into the hut. Immediately, he saw a rough case placed inside the hut and an old man with white beard and white robe sitting cross-legged on a futon. The old man with white beard and white robe had vicissitudes of his face, and his body was extremely thin. Like the man in black at the foot of the mountain, there was no breath exuding from him. He sat there as if an old monk had settled in, making the whole hut seem silent for everyone. "Jian Tianho have met seniors." Jian Wushuang bowed slightly, saluting the old man with white beard and white robe. The old man with white beard and white robe opened his eyes, exposing a pair of strange eyes with a slight white light. These eyes seemed to have no emotion at all, extremely cold. "Master of rules?" The old man with white beard and white robe looked up at Jian Wushuang and nodded slightly. The master of the rules can walk to the old man. "This is the fourth in the recent chaotic era. You're a good guy." In the words of the old man with white beard and white robe, there was obviously a trace of appreciation. When hearing the words of the old man with white beard and white robe, Jian Wushuang's heart moved. The old man with white beard and white robe said that in the recent chaos period, Jian Wushuang estimated that it should be within the chaos period that the Red Cloud realm was born in this star field. In these chaos periods, he is the ruler of the rule, and the fourth one came to him, that is, before him, there were 3 other rulers in this star domain and they also came here. Jian Wushuang was not surprised by this. After all, there are several chaotic eras and for such a long time, this star domain has been born without knowing many rules, and there are also some top geniuses. It is normal for a few top geniuses to compete with the dominance of the rule at the level of the master of the rule. Although the test at the foot of the mountain is not easy to pass, according to the sword's unparalleled estimate, if the ruler has only the primary top-level combat power, it is likely to pass. After a few chaotic times, it was normal for 3 rulers to pass the test at the foot of the mountain. The predecessor is the guardian of this mountainside. Do I have to defeat you to be able to set foot on the peak? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes, if you want to continue to go up, you have to pass the level of the old man, but the old man is different from the man at the foot of the mountain. You, the ruler, can pass easily as long as you have the first level and higher level master. Even if it is the top master in the first level and elementary level, there is a good chance that he will pass his level, but in the old man's case the general higher master's combat power can't get through. Laugh. The juniors will try their best. Jian Wushuang said. Okay, eat this bowl of tea first. The old man with white beard and white robe waved his hand, and immediately appeared 2 bowls of tea on the pour case in front of him. The old man with white beard and white robe handed one of the bowls to the front of the sword without double sides. Emperor Jiutian. Chapter 3775. With the encounter at the foot of the mountain, now seeing the old man with white beard and white robes taking out tea, Jian Wushuang will not be surprised at all. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang picked up a bowl of tea on the case and ate it. Tea ate into his stomach. Jian Wushuang's brow frowned. Unlike the tea taken by the man in black at the foot of the mountain, the tea of the man in black is quite bitter, but it has a flavor and it is warm in the belly, but this white beard white robe the tea the old man brought out was extremely unpalatable. Why, it's hard to drink, right? The old man with white beard and white robe looked at it. No way, the old man is not good at making tea, but the effect of this tea is still the same, and it will bring you into a space of consciousness. You fight with your husband in the space of consciousness. After the old man with white beard and white robe said, he ate the bowl of tea in front of himself. Soon the effect of tea came into play, and the consciousness of the 2 men Jian Wushuang and Baisu Bai Pao had already entered a special conscious space. This is no longer the vast expanse of the sea before, but the middle of a barren mountain range with bare mountains all around and underneath. The sun is baking and the air is a little hot. The old man with white beard and white robe stood in the void, different from the outside world. When the old man with white beard and white robe came to this consciousness space, he changed into a person and was full of monstrous breath. This breath is violent, hot like flames. Little guy, pick up. The old man with white beard and white robe did not have any nonsense. In this conscious space he shot directly. He didn't use any weapons, he simply relied on his palms turned red as if he had just been burned by the fire. Volcano collapse. With a loud drink, the old man with white beard and white robe slaps directly and shoots fiercely. In a short time there were a lot of red air waves rolling out. These red air waves gathered in a frenzy, and they suddenly gathered into a towering mountain. This mountain is entangled with fire, burning everything in the world. Boom! The terrible flame mountain descended from the sky, and the delicate sword came without pressure. Ah! A burst of harsh and violent wind came from him. The wind was so huge that it was so difficult for Jian's eyes to open. He could barely raise his head and looked at the endless mountains above. The power of that mountain is earth-shattering. Higher dominates the power, and this move is strong. Jian Wushuang's heart has an approximate strength to the old man with white beard and white robe. Like the man in black at the foot of the mountain, it is just the power of the primary dominator, but the marksmanship is superb and extremely powerful. And the old man with white beard and white robe, the power that erupted was definitely higher-level dominance, and the means by which he exerted, that the horrific waves of horrible mountains that were crushed by the towering mountains, were just rolling. The state of mind is fluttering, and these methods are no worse than that of the man in black. Perceived the mighty power of the majestic mountains, Jian Wushuang's strength will no longer be retained. The magic of life, the sky-cutting technique, and the willpower given by the laws of the universe are directly exerted at this moment. Break me! With a low roar, the sword with no hands in Huangquan's Excalibur broke out instantly. Starfire burning day. Wow! A fierce and direct sword light, with unprecedented violent momentum and momentum like a bamboo shoot, rushed out. Fight with violence. The same fury, the same power. In a blink of an eye, this fierce sword light collided with the towering mountains that fell from the sky. Ha! A loud noise roared the world. The majestic mountains that were so high were actually split directly by the fierce sword light. One sword splits the mountain, and the split is still the magnificent mountain of flames formed by the old man with white beard and white robes completely condensed by divine power. Wow! I saw a large amount of mighty energy rushing in all directions, and the whole world was burning in a large area of flames. Oh! When the old man with white beard and white robe saw a towering volcano being split directly, his eyes lit up. Being able to split the old man's volcano directly is the first one. You little kid is really capable, but the old man's volcano is very serious. The mysterious 9 volcano mystery created by the old man, although the strength is limited now, the displayed power is only 1,000th that of the mystery, but it is not something ordinary people can resist. Boy, see how many volcanoes you can block the old man. As soon as the voice fell, I saw that the old man with white beard and white robes was surging wildly. The sky was filled with red air waves, one after another standing tall volcanoes taller than before. These volcanoes took shape, and each volcano contained more power and oppression than the previous one. Volcano extinction. The old man with white beard and white robe roared. The volcanoes that had already formed were suddenly crushed away by a crazy sword that followed one another. The terrible power oppressed everything in the heavens and the earth. At this moment, under the feet of Jianghu, the terrible power of the volcano above it couldn't withstand the terrible power of the volcanoes above it. Extinction breath. In the blink of an eye, the second volcano has arrived. And after the second volcano, followed by the third and fourth. As for the fifth block, it is in the process of cohesion. Is it 9 volcanoes? There was a shock in Jianwu's eyes, but more was excitement. Bring it on. Jianwu Shuang was not afraid, and his divine power burst out to the extreme. He knew that the volcanoes contained earth-shattering power, but he didn't mean to retreat, but instead stood up to the volcanoes and greeted them directly. Go up. Then boom. The dreaded sword light suddenly lights up. Only a loud bang was heard, and the second volcano was smashed directly by Jian Guang. Then came the third and fourth blocks. Even if it continues to condense, the fifth and sixth volcanoes with stronger power can't withstand the amazing power of Sword Wushuangjian. It was another loud noise. The seventh volcano was also split open by Jian Wushuang. The scene in front of him made the old man with white beard and white robes startled with astonishment, but followed him with a big laugh. Ah, good boy, the old man has been in this star field for several times of chaos. There are 3 in total. The master of the rule came to the old man, and they also suffered the old man's 9-fold volcanic mystery. As a result, the weakest of the 3 failed to carry the second heavy volcano, and even the strongest was only just he carried the 5th heavy volcano, and he could not resist the 6th heavy volcano. And you have carried the 7th volcano? Chapter 3776. Being able to carry the old man's 7th heavy volcano, you are stronger than any ruler who came here before, but the old man's 9 heavy volcano mystic technique, although it is stronger than strong, starts from the 8th, it is qualitative transformation. Boy, see if you can still block the old man's 8th heavy volcano. The old man with white beard and white robe will laugh, and above that void the 8th towering volcano has condensed. This volcano in terms of volume alone, is much larger than the previous 7-fold volcano, and the power of volcano condensation is even more shocking. As the volcano slowly descended, the terrible wind was crushed down, and Jian Wushuang felt only a roar of his ears. This power is indeed much stronger than the 7 heavy volcanoes before. Jian Wushuang nodded secretly but was not afraid. At the moment when the towering volcano came down, he suddenly burst out. Wow! A sword light suddenly lit. Cold and ruthless as if to tear all obstacles ahead. And in Jingguang, there was a hint of the law of the universe, and it collided with the volcano front that came slowly. Ha! A terrible roar shook the earth, and a large number of majestic powers madly scattered around. The 8th volcano condensed by the old man with white beard and white robe has collapsed and completely collapsed. But the cold and relentless dreadful sword light also slowly dissipated. The 8th heavy volcano was still countered by Jian Wushuang's front. The breath of the laws of the universe? The old man with white beard and white robe was shocked, and naturally he could see the breath of the laws of the universe contained in the sword that Wushuang just had. A ruler of all kinds was able to grasp the breath of the laws of the universe, which naturally surprised him. But the old man with white beard and white robe laughed again. Boy, you are very good, look at the husband's 9th heavy volcano. The majestic air flow gathered frantically, and the horrific power condensed in the sky above. In the blink of an eye, the 9th volcano had already formed. The volume of this volcano is not much stronger than that of the 8th volcano, but the power gathered in the volcano and the extinct atmosphere are much larger than the 8th heavy volcano. When this volcano was completely condensed at that moment, the vast world was silent for a short time. This power is afraid that it is infinitely close to the top master. Jianwu's eyes and pupils also shrank sharply. The 9th volcano condensed by the old man with white beard and white robe brought great pressure to him. At this juncture, Jian Wushuang no longer hid and pinched, and saw his body suddenly startled, and a sound of dragons rang out suddenly in the earth. This dragons was filled with monstrous resentment, and immediately became a pound. The evil spirits rushed out of the Wujin demon armor, directly covering Jian Wushuang's whole body. Wujin demon armor has the second largest power, 30% of the power of demon dragons, and Jian Wushuang's strength has instantly increased to a level. You volcano, I'm tired of seeing it, let it go. The sword Wushuang spoke softly, and the Huangquan Excalibur in his hand was cut straight. The same fell into Huangquan. It is also cold and ruthless, as if it can tear away all the terrible sword lights in front of it. The difference is that the power that the sword Wushuang just blasted out at the moment is just the ultimate limit of higher masters, but now with the blessing of 30% of the dragon spirit, his power has barely reached the threshold of top masters. The top-level dominating level of mighty powers is falling into Huangquan. Of course, mighty powers are far from being able to compare. Wow! The cold and relentless sword light passed directly through the middle of the towering volcano. The 9th heavy volcano just gathered by the old man with white beard and white robe, has not yet completely landed, and has been cut directly from this sword light by Jian Wushuang. The power of the sword light is unabated, and he continues to move toward white beard the old man beheaded. The old man with white beard and white robe changed his face, and was shocked by Jian Guang. His figure shivered and immediately receded to the rear, looking rather embarrassed. Senior, let it go. Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Top-level combat power? The old man with white beard and white robe frowned, looking at Jian Wushuang diligently. In the dialogue between the two of them, their consciousness has slowly separated from this conscious space. On the peak of the mountain, in the hut on the mountainside, Jian Wushuang and the old man with white beard and white robe sitting on the futon, opened their eyes at the same time. Your boy, you have the top-level combat power? The old man with white beard and white robe looked up at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang just smiled slightly. Yes. The old man with white beard and white robe nodded his head in appreciation. The Red Cloud Realm has already had several chaos periods in this star field. In such a long time, I don't know how many rulers and masters come here breakthrough, but before you, whether it is the ruler or the master, no one can pass by the old man, you are the first. The junior is just lucky. Jian Wushuang said modestly. A ruler has the top-level combat power, which is also luck? The old man with white beard and white robe gave the sword a pair of white swords, followed him and said, But don't be too proud, although you have passed old man, but if you want to really set foot on the top of this peak, it is still not that easy. Senior, do you mean that there are other gatekeepers on this peak? Jian Wushuang asked with a frown. Yes. The old man with white beard and white robe nodded. Is it at the peak? Jian Wushuang asked. It seems you have guessed. The old man with white beard and white robe just smiled. Jian Wushuang was silent. At the beginning, I learned from the Shen Shinto people that this stepping Tianfeng, and knowing that there are 2 tests on the foot of the mountain and the mountainside at that time, he was already thinking, on the peak of Tianfeng, is there a 3rd test? But no one can answer this question for him. After all, no one in this star field has been able to pass this level on the mountainside. Naturally, no one is qualified to go to the peak. Is there a 3rd test on the peak? No one knows. But now he was finally the first to pass the mountainside test. The old man with white beard and white robe told him the 3rd test on the peak. Senior, is the test on the peak the same as the foot of the mountain and the mountainside to beat the guards? Jian Wushuang asked. Well, the old man can't tell you. The old man with white beard and white robe shook his head. But the old man can tell you that the test on the top of the mountain is the last test in the first heavy day of the Red Cloud Realm. You only need to pass the top of the mountain. Test, you can go to the 2nd day of the Red Cloud World, and at the same time you can get some unexpected benefits. Oh. Jian Wushuang looked and nodded, thank you for telling me. Emperor Jiutian. Chapter 3777. After learning from the old man with white beard and white robes that the peak had a 3rd test, Jian Wushuang did not stay much, but walked down the steps and continued to the peak. Along the way, Jian Wushuang's heart was quite heavy. Before, he never really came to climb Tianfeng, he still had great confidence in his strength. Even after passing the test at the foot of the mountain, He is still confident and believes that with his own strength, the test in Tianfeng should not be difficult for him. But after the test of the mountainside, that is, after fighting the old man with white beard and white robe, he was not so confident. When fighting against the old man with white beard and white robe, he really went all out to show his many means to defeat the opponent. The strength of the old man with white beard and white robes exposed in that conscious space is definitely the most extreme level of higher domination. Like he was in the Red Cloud realm before, he encountered the evil demon who claimed to be the first of the higher masters of this star domain. The evil demon's strength is definitely not as good as the old man with white beard and white robe. The strength of the old man with white beard and white robe also illustrates a problem. The test at the foot of the mountain, the strength of the man in black is the most extreme of the primary master. At the mountainside, the old man with white beard and white robe is the most extreme of the higher master. If it follows this trend, will the test of the peak be the ultimate of the top dominator? Top master. Even if he uses all whole cards, his combat power will barely reach the threshold of top master. If the guard on the peak really has the ultimate power of top master, he wants to defeat the opponent. It's different from dreaming. I can only take one step and one step. I hope that the test of the peak will not be so outrageous. Jian Wushuang can only secretly sigh. After successively crossing tens of thousands of steps, Jian Wushuang finally reached the top of this stepping Tianfeng. But just dozens of steps away from the peak of Tiantian Peak, Jian Wushuang saw a snow-white figure lying there halfway. This snow-white figure, covered with snow-white hair, is tall, and its face is like the face of an ape-man. Obviously, this snow-white figure is not a human practitioner, but a special ethnic group from the universe. Is it the gatekeeper of this peak? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. In his perception, the snow-white ape-man also didn't emit a slight breath. He lay on you motionless and seemed to be asleep. Even though he was close, the snow-white ape-man didn't react at all. Jian Wushuang walked in front of the snow-white ape-man, and saw that the snow-white ape-man still had his eyes closed and did not mean to open, and he could not help but embarrassed and said, "This senior." "Okay." Hearing Jian Wushuang's voice, the snow-white ape-man finally reacted. I saw that his body turned slightly, his eyes slowly opened, and a pair of weird blue pupils instantly locked Jian Wushuang. Human practitioner? The snow-white ape-man stared at Jian Wushuang, firstly in a panic, but followed with great joy, and his figure jumped up immediately. Haha, human cultivation for so many years, finally human cultivation has come here. Hey, three-eyed witch, Stone, the two of you haven't hurried down yet. A human practitioner has come here. The laughter of the snow-white ape-man echoed. Suddenly 2 streams of light rushed from the top steps and appeared on the side of the snow-white ape-man. The streamers dissipated, and 2 figures appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. One of the 2 who came was a woman with a beautiful figure, a beautiful appearance, and an extremely charming woman. Most of this charming woman was the same as a human woman. The only difference was that she had an eyebrow. Strange eyes glowing with pupils. She has a third eye and still looks up. As for the other person, it is a stone man whose body is more than 5 meters in length and whose body is completely stacked with special rocks. This stone man has no nose, no ears, only a mouth and a pair of recessed eyes. Seeing the 2 men, Jian Wushuang was startled. The snow-white ape-man, the 3-eyed seductive woman, the 5-meter-tall stone man. All 3 are obviously from special groups in the universe, all of which are extraordinary. Jian Wushuang thought that the guardian of this peak was only one person at the foot of the mountain and the mountainside, but he did not expect to be 3 people. As for how strong these 3 will be, Jian Wushuang cannot predict. Giggle, it really is a human practitioner. The 3-eyed enchanting woman's 3 eyes were flashing with strange light and stared at Jian Wushuang. It's been a long time, I haven't seen a human practitioner. Since the loss of the Red Cloud realm, I am afraid that there are hundreds of chaos ages. Well, I wanted to wander through the universe. My favorite is to eat the meat of these human practitioners. The stronger the strength, the better the meat will be. Unfortunately, I was caught and sent to this Red Cloud world. I have never tasted the taste of a human practitioner again. Snow-white ape-man also stared at Jian Wushuang, his mouth slightly open, and there was even a hint of greed in his eyes. You are not ignorant of the rules in the Red Cloud realm. This human cultivator came here just to break through the barriers. The 2 of you cannot move other minds. The 5-meter-high stone man is more realistic. He issued his voice is extremely heavy. Rest assured, we know that the rules of the Red Cloud world, we dare not violate it. The 3-eyed demon woman smiled. Unfortunately, if this is outside, I can eat him, but here is the Red Cloud world. Snow-white ape-man also showed regret. When hearing these 3 people talking to each other, Jian Wushuang couldn't help but feel tight, especially when he heard the white ape man say that he likes to eat human flesh. His complexion changed. These three men were jealous of the rules in the Red Cloud realm and did not dare to mess around, which made Jian Wushuang relieved. Three are all the gatekeepers at this peak? Jian Wushuang looked at the three in front of him. Yes. The three-eyed demon-charmed woman said, You, a ruler, can come here, it is very good, but the peak is guarded by me. Three, you want to go to the second day? Then I had to pass the three of me, but the level that the three of us defended was not something that anyone could just break through. Little guy, you are just the ruler, then the three of me will naturally restrain the power, but even so, those top-level masters who want to break through the three of me are not so easy. Would you like to try it? Snow White Ape Man Chaoso Wuxian hooked his fingers. Emperor Jiutian. Chapter 3778. 3. Let me challenge. Jian Wushuang looked at the three men calmly. Haha, that's right, I'm also worried that if you look at the three of us, you'll be so scared that you don't dare to shoot. Snow White Ape Man smiled strangely. The three-eyed demon woman waved her hand. Eat this cup of tea. Looking at the tea that the three-eyed demon woman took out, a scent of fragrance suddenly burst out. As soon as Jian Wushuang looked, he took the tea and ate it. Suddenly Jian Wushuang felt that there was a roar in his mind, and his whole body and mind were relaxed, and his inner throb was completely calmed down. This tea. Jian Wushuang appeared in astonishment. This is the Qingxin tea planted by the three-eyed witch herself. It has the effect of meditation and meditation. If put into the universe, it has a certain value which is not something ordinary people can eat. The Snow White Ape Man smiled. The three-eyed witch turned out, take out this tea to entertain you, your kid is blessed. Jian Wushuang smiled dumbly, but his consciousness had been dragged. Buzzing. The world is changing. Jian Wushuang has appeared in a conscious space. Here, in the middle of a vast mountain range, this mountain range is very desolate, with boulder and bald peaks everywhere. The three-eyed demon woman, the Snow White Ape Man and the 5-meter-high stone man also appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. Little guy, we're going to take a shot, you be careful. The three-eyed demon woman reminded. Sword Wushuang looked dignified. Huang Quan's Excalibur had appeared in his hands. Although he could not see the truth of the three men in front of him, but from the test of the foot of the mountain and the mountainside, he could see that the strength of the three men was certainly no small matter. Three, come on, Jian Wushuang said loudly. Yes, it's calm. The three-eyed demon woman smiled slightly. But the white ape man beside her had already shot directly. I saw the Snow White Ape Man's body more than 2 meters high jumped. Jian Wushuang only saw a snow-white figure between heaven and earth suddenly flashed. Boom. The terrible gas explosion sounded suddenly. An inexplicable chill swept across suddenly. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes wide, but saw the void around him, and he did not know when a large swath of snowflakes had drifted. Snowflakes flew and a huge snow-white fist had reached him. So fast. Jian Wushuang showed surprise, and this power, the top dominating combat power. As soon as the Snow White Ape Man fired, let alone the mood of his rolled-up mood, the power contained in this fist alone made the sword unparalleled. The power contained in this fist is undoubtedly the top dominating level. Humph. With a cold hum, Jian Wushuang's power instantly burst to the extreme, the magical power of life, the sky-cutting technique, and even the second power of Wujin demon armor burst out instantly. When he shot, Swordsman went all out. No way, facing the top dominating powerhouse, he is only qualified to deal with it with all his strength. Wow. A dazzling sword light, with an endless resentment, hit the huge snow fist instantly. Clang. The sound of a metal-like impact sounded, and Sword's double body shape shook slightly, but it was a few steps back. And the figure of the Snow White Ape Man also paused in the void, taking a step back slightly. Oh, I was able to block my punch in the front, that's good. Snow White Ape Man smiled. Jian Wushuang's heart is extremely heavy. He has exerted all his powers, but he can still collide head-on. There is no other way. His combat power is just enough to reach the threshold of top dominance, and this Snow White Ape Man's instant burst of strength is definitely at the top dominate level. It is normal for Jian Wushuang to be at a disadvantage when the two confrontation. Boy, you and I will come again. The Snow White Ape grinned, exposing his white teeth, and his figure moved again. Wow, 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 wow. This Snow White Ape Man is extremely fast, his body moves, and only white ghosts can be seen flickering in the void. The fist of the Snow White Ape Man has already come from the outrageous Chao Jian Wushuang. This speed. Jian Wushuang gritted his teeth, and the huge black wings behind him stretched out. Shen Guang Tianyi Shuangguang Phantom Body Act, also immediately unfolded. I saw ghostly figures bursting out at the same time, moving closer and closer again and again, making the sword unparalleled figure also become illusory. Under this crazy change of body shape, Jian Wushuang and Snow White Ape Man also began to confront each other constantly. A deep crash sounded one after another. Jian Wushuang and the Snow White Ape Man have been fighting wildly together. And it didn't take long for Jian Wushuang to use the field-based methods, but even so he still couldn't get a slight advantage in the fierce battle. With the war, Jian Wushuang's heart became heavier and heavier. The speed of this Snow White Ape Man is too fast, and my body style is very strange. Although I have Shuangguang Puppet Skywing, I use Shuangguang Phantom and other physical styles that can be moved close together, plus the suppression of the field, but I am in speed and body on the move. He still only has a slight advantage, but his power is stronger than mine. This gap in power can completely make my advantage over the body disappear. Jian Wushuang frowned. He has now basically implemented all the means. But despite this, he was still just as good as the Snow White Ape Man, and even the Snow White Ape Man might have no means to show it. In other words, even if it is 1-to-1, he can't beat the Snow White Ape Man now. But you know the test of this peak, but 1-to-3. The three-eyed demon woman and the 5-meter-high stone man stood by him from the beginning to the end. Just one person gave him so much pressure, if the three of them shot at the same time? Giggled the white ape, the genius of your Grand Emperor Ape. Why can't even a little guy who rules the rule is too shameful, right? The three-eyed demon charmed woman teased. The Snow White Ape Man in the midst of a fierce battle heard these words, and his eyes immediately burst into anger. You two don't stand and talk without back pain. You don't know how big I am in this red cloud world. Not to mention the strength of cultivation, even the mastery of secret learning, cannot exert any power, otherwise why would I not help this guy? This Snow White Ape Man is also very aggrieved. Just like the two gatekeepers at the foot of the mountain and the mountainside, the three of them at the top of the mountain were also subject to great restraints, and they were afraid that their strength would not be able to reach even 1/10,000th. Otherwise, the rule master like Jian Wushuang in their eyes is no different from the ants. Chapter 3779. Nothing but sophistry? The three-eyed demon woman chuckled. Do-n't bother you, let us do it together. Do-n't forget that we do-n't have much time. If we really let this boy run through us, then we will really laugh at the big teeth. Snow White Ape Man yelled. Hearing the words of the Snow White Ape Man, the three-eyed fascinating woman and the 5-meter-high stone man looked dignified. Stone, go ahead, said the three-eyed seductive woman. Well, you cooperate with me. The 5-meter-high stone man nodded. Boom. The void shuddered, and the entire earth was shaking wildly at this moment. On the desolate mountains, large boulders suddenly floated up. These boulders are densely packed, with the 5-meter-high stone man as the core, and a huge rocky ocean was formed in no time. This stone man, which was originally only 5 meters high, was soaring in volume at this moment, directly skyrocketing to nearly 100 feet. The nearly 100-foot tall stone man exuded torrential weather, and there were 2 airflows in the recessed eyes. I saw the 100-foot tall stone man stretched out his 2 stout arms and directly held up a huge stone next to it, then raised it high. That boulder is comparable to an ordinary mountain for fear of tens of billions of pounds, but the stone man's hands are raised as if holding a ball of cotton. Suddenly the 5-meter-high stone man gave a loud drink. This tens of billions of kilograms, a mountain-sized megalith turned into a shooting star, burst into lightning flashes toward the sword. What? Jian Wushuang dumbfounded. He had thought what an incredible offensive the stone man would do, but he did not expect his attack to be so simple. Just hold a boulder and smash it directly at you. Even though the boulder burst out at an extremely fast speed, it was comparable to a shooting star. But with sword unparalleled strength, it is very easy to avoid such a huge boulder. Such an attack could not cause any danger to him. At least Jian Wushuang thinks so. But just when Jian Wushuang was preparing to move, avoiding the megalithic bombardment, the three-eyed enchanting woman standing next to Baizhang Takaishi was a weird smile. At the center of her eyebrow, a dazzling purple light suddenly flashed in the third eye that stood upright. This purple light is extremely enchanting, and the enchantment is like a huge purple sun, and Jian Wushuang was attracted for the first time. What is this? The sword was unsurprising, but immediately he was horrified to find that under the purple light, his consciousness was a sharp pain, which made him completely unable to control himself during this time god body. His body just stopped there motionless. The boulder, which was looting like a meteor, directly hit his body. Hundreds of billions of pounds of megaliths hit at a speed comparable to that of a meteor. The impact of the stars at this moment was incredible. At least this impact will not be weaker than the average top master, even stronger than the general top master's full blow. With such an overwhelming attack, Jian Wushuang was bombarded stiffly without any defense. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang has the armor of Wujin Demon Dragon armor, which weakened this impact by more than 90% for the first time, and the remaining power acts on his body. His supreme indestructible mystery is comparable to the ordinary elementary universe treasure, but the remaining part of the impact is completely enough to crush the ordinary elementary universe treasure. Jian Wu's body was shocked, and a large mouthful of blood spewed out from his mouth. Under this impact, his body directly lost more than 40%. It's terrible. I obviously have the armor of Wujin Demon armor, and I've cultivated the supreme immortal Shen body. The body is comparable to the ordinary elementary treasure. However, this level of attack still makes him destructive and loses more than 40%. There was a touch of shock in Jian Wu's eyes. Although only the divine body was lost, he could immediately repair it with divine power. But do and forget, the more domineering the body is, the more divine power is needed to repair it. Jian Wushuang, which is comparable to the elementary universe treasure, if you change to the rule of the general rule, I am afraid that even if it consumes all the divine power, there is no way to completely repair over 40% of the deities. However, after all, Jian Wushuang is the perfect life. He has a vast amount of divine power than the master. Repairing more than 40% of the gods, Jian Wushuang consumes only 3% of the gods. One attack consumes 3% of my body. If such an attack comes dozens of times, I can't resist it. The sword has no double-sided color, which is a bit ugly. The attack by the Baizhanghai Stoneman is very strong, and the attack power of the Snow White Ape Man is much stronger, there is no doubt about this. But Jian Wushuang didn't care about the Stone Man, he cared about the three-eyed demon woman next to the Stone Man. He was very clear that the attack of the Stone Man could just be easily avoided, but it was because the means of the three-eyed demon woman had let him lose control of his own body in that extremely short time. The three-eyed enchanting woman's method was the real threat to him. What happened just now? Jian Wu's eyes were cold and he didn't even know how he did it. He only saw the third-eyed demon woman's third eye opened and burst into purple light, and then his consciousness was an unprecedented pain. Master. A voice suddenly sounded in Jian Shuang's heart. Well, Demon Flame? Jian Wu's eyes narrowed. Demon Flame, although his soul is inside the Scarlet Gourd, he is aware of what is happening outside, and he can also communicate with the sword unparalleled consciousness at any time. Master, that woman, no accident, should be a tribe of the Tri-Eyed Demons in the universe. This Tri-Eyed tribe is a very famous and special tribe in the universe. There is an innate advantage that is the third eye at the center of their eyebrows. The third eye can release a beam of different colors. The beam is sufficient to affect the consciousness of the practitioner. The master's consciousness was just affected by her. Law escaped the attack of the Stone Man. Demon Flame said. A special means that directly affects consciousness? Jian Wu's eyes narrowed. Consciousness rules the body as does the soul. It can even be said that a person's soul is derived from consciousness. In the universe, many attacks on the soul, such as some special illusions and illusions, are actually attacks on the consciousness. It's just that those attacks will first be blocked by the power of the opponent's soul. However, the special attack methods of the three-eyed demon are obviously different. Emperor Jiutian. Chapter 3780? The means by which the three-eyed demon woman cast out completely ignored the resistance of my soul, and directly affected my consciousness. My consciousness was stinging, and I could not temporarily control the body, but my soul was good. Nothing. Jian Wushuang gritted his teeth. The usual consciousness attack, he didn't care. After all, he must first pass through this level of his soul, and as a perfect life he is invincible in terms of soul. But this three-eyed demon woman's attack method, but his soul can't stop it, only by his own consciousness to bear. And he couldn't resist his consciousness, then he had no way to face the attack of the Stone Man and the Snow White Ape Man. Giggle, it actually blocked the attack of the stone by the divine body, and it seems that the loss of divine power is not great. A little guy at the master level of the rule has a little skill. The three-eyed demon woman smiled strangely, followed her but glanced at the 100-foot-tall stone man next to him. Stone, go on, don't have mercy anyway, in the space of consciousness he can't die. Okay. The Baizhanghai Stone Man just nodded silently, but then raised a huge stone again and smashed into the sword Wushuang's anger. Boom. The stone pierced the void like a meteor, and that terrible wind ripped through the void. And at the moment when the stoneman shot, the third eye of the three-eyed seductive woman was dazzling with purple light again. Come back. The sword sank and closed his eyes for the first time. He thought that the three-eyed seductive woman's means depended on the purple light in his eyes. As long as he closed his eyes and did not see the purple light, he would not be affected by the purple light. In fact, after the purple light was illuminated, regardless of whether Jian Wushuang saw it, it would shine on him for the first time. Then the same scene appeared, and Jian Wushuang's consciousness caused severe pain, and he temporarily lost control of the divine body, and his figure was squatting there again. Then the meteor-like boulder smashed fiercely. After the boulder, the snow flakes from the sky, and the fist of the snow-white ape man also blasted towards the sword unparalleled. Jian Wushuang couldn't stop it at the same time, and underwent the terrible attack of two top masters at the same time. The body was hit again, blood spurted from his mouth, and the armor was red. Master, the special attack method of the three-eyed demon tribe is very weird. Whether you see it with your eyes or not, you will be recruited. There is only one way to resist such means, which is to rely on your absolute arrogance, and master your consciousness. Obviously can't stop the attack of the three-eyed demon's woman. The voice of the magic flame sounded again. It's unstoppable. The sword sank without two sides. His consciousness is actually very persevering. After all, he was a man of two lives, and after experiencing not knowing how many lives and deaths and wind and rain, ordinary conscious attacks can be ignored. But the three-eyed demon woman has a powerful strength, even if it is not supreme. I am afraid it is also the terrible master, the 4th and 5th series. Even if she is in the Red Cloud realm as a guardian of the Tianfeng Peak, this kind of consciousness method can't play 1/10,000th, but her conscious attack can also affect the general top masters. Even though Jian Wushuang's consciousness domineering, but compared to the top dominate, there is still a little gap. So he couldn't stop it. I can't stop the conscious attack of the three-eyed demon woman, then I can only be reduced to a living target, let alone exert any means. Even if the figure wants to move in the slightest, it will be extremely difficult. At most dozens of attacks, my divine power will be exhausted, and then I will lose. Jian Wushuang frowned. Suddenly Jian Shuang's expression moved. Demon flame, will your swallowing gold body have a certain blessing to consciousness? Yes. Moyen nodded. Although my gold swallowing body is only in the shaping stage, the blessing on the master can greatly improve the master in all aspects, not only in strength but also in consciousness. It can also improve a lot, but the duration will not be too long. But the master, even if you summon the gold swallowing deities and after blessing, you can resist the conscious attack of the three-eyed demon woman, but you can't defeat them either. Pass the test. Although the demon flame stayed in the scarlet gourd, he could see that all three of them were top dominating combatants, and Jian Wushuang had no advantage over any of them. 1-3, even being able to block the conscious attack of the three-eyed demon woman will be completely suppressed by these three. As for trying to defeat these three people, it is simply impossible. At least the current sword Wushuang absolutely can't do it. Hearing the words of the demon flame, Jian Wushuang shook his head. No, as long as I can block the conscious attack of the three-eyed demon woman, even if I still cannot defeat the three of them, I may not be able to pass the retest. Moyen stunned. If I remember correctly, the snow-white ape man said to the three-eyed demon woman and the stone man that their time is not much. Jian Wu's eyes narrowed slightly. Previously he and the snow-white ape man slaughtered one-on-one. The three-eyed demon woman and the stone man were watching the movie next to him. Even the three-eyed demon woman was still mocking the snow-white ape man. This made snow-white ape men furious, and later they said they wanted to do it immediately, saying that they didn't have much time. This snow-white ape man might just be a word that was unintentional at the time. Most people wouldn't care, but Jian Wushuang heard it and he cares. Not only that, because of this sentence, Jian Wushuang also made a lot of guesses out of thin air. Yes, the tests at the foot of the mountain and the mountainside all require me to defeat the gatekeepers, but the test at the peak is obviously different. The test of this peak, there are 3 gatekeepers, and these 3 gatekeepers. One is very fast, the other is extremely powerful, and the last one is 3. The Eye Demon tribe has a unique conscious attack. All 3 have the top dominating combat power. Together, even the top dominate of the first level cannot defeat the 3 of them. But the ruler of the district, if you also need to defeat all 3 in front of you, it would be too incredible. And the Snow-White Ape Man, he said that their time is not enough. That is, the test of the peak may not be that I want to defeat all 3 guards, but that I will be among them. In the hands of a certain time, will not be killed by the 3 of them. The strange light flashed in the sword's eyes. The more he thought about it, the more likely it was. that you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.